Hey everyone, how's it going? A lot of people's favorite Pokemon are one of these 5, otherwise known as the Eevee-lutions. I mean, they're really cool Pokemon, and today we're gonna see which one of them can solo Pokemon Crystal the fastest. Now, I was planning on doing this in Fire Red Leaf Green, but I switched to Crystal because I genuinely don't know who's gonna win this one. Honestly, there are points to be made for each one of the Eevee-lutions, so the only way we're gonna find out which one is best is just by doing the runs. For those of you who've never seen my runs before, the rules are simple. I use a code to change the starter into, well, in this case, an Eevee-lution. I'm not gonna use any other Pokemon in battle. I'm not gonna use items in battle. And for Pokemon Crystal, we add a couple additional rules just to make things a bit more fair between the runs. We're gonna get Flash every time. That's actually mandatory in Heart Gold Soul Silver, by the way. And we're not gonna use Hidden Power because it's hard to manipulate what your type and power is. And it can completely change the run. And because sometimes I like to repeat these runs, Hidden Power just makes that very difficult to do. So no Hidden Power. We use level and in-game time to determine which Pokemon's the best. And no, it's not an exact science, but as you're gonna see, there's probably gonna be multiple minutes, if not tens of minutes, between some of these Eevee-lutions. And as you can probably see already, we are going to start with Umbreon. That's because my Twitch chat thought it would be the worst and they wanted to torture me. But I have a feeling Umbreon might be a little bit better than a lot of people give it credit for. Now, something interesting about Eevee-lutions, more so than the starters, where I did this comparison in Fire Red Leaf Green, they are far, far more similar to each other. I mean, if we look at the Eevee-lution base stats, you're gonna see a pattern emerge, and I actually just made this Eeveeon fake base stat for you to see. Every single Eevee-lution has an amazing 130 in one stat, 110 in another, which is very good, 95, which is pretty good, 265s, which is pretty meh, and a 60. How those stats are distributed depends on the Eevee-lution, and of course, like I said, we're going to be starting with Umbreon, and as you can see, the A stat is special defense, the B stat is defense, and then the C stat is HP, leaving attack, special attack, and speed to be bad. Which could be bad for a solo run, but Dark type is an interesting type, especially in Gen 2, so I'm really curious how this is gonna go. With that said, we got a lot of Pokemon to cover, so let's get underway. But first, a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. Today, I'm featuring Raycon's Essential Open Earbuds, and these things are amazing. I've been using them a lot, and let me tell you why you might want these. The sound quality is really good, but that's not all. There are many situations in which, while I'd love to shut out all the outside noise, there are instances where that isn't the best idea, like walking on the street, or hey, maybe warming up when you're playing sports. The Essential Open Earbuds are perfect for that. Thanks to this multi-angular hook, the open earbuds sit just outside the ear canal, and thus allow you to hear the music with amazing clarity, but also allows you to hear the rest of the world. Now, I wanted to put the open essential earbuds to the test, so I decided to try and play a little bit of goalie with them, and you can see I made the save. It was not a bad save with no equipment on, but also notice how the earbuds stayed perfectly in place. In situations like warm-up where I need to hear other people, these have become my go-to earbuds. And if you would like a pair for yourself, well, good news. Raycon is offering up to 20% off this holiday season. What you need to do is either click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/JRose11open. But that's not all. Order by December 15th to guarantee delivery by Christmas, because great gifts shouldn't show up late. Alrighty, so as I head through Sprout Tower, there is something important we need to talk about, and this is true of every Eeveelution. It's not just the stats that are similar. I haven't talked about Umbreon's move pool yet. All the Eeveelutions start with just Tackle and Tail Whip, learning Sand Attack at level 8, and then a 40 base power same type move at level 16. Then it starts getting a little different depending on the Pokemon. As we can see, Umbreon's biggest problem is that Dark type doesn't get cool moves, like Dark Pulse, for example, would be useful. That didn't exist until Gen 4. So we're stuck with our best Dark move being Feint Attack at level 36, which it's not going to be that great. In fact, that's the most powerful move Umbreon even learns via level up. Now, the TM list looks huge, but if you look at base power for a second, you'll notice the vast majority of TMs you get in Generation 2 are not damaging moves, and the elemental punches, arguably the best TMs in Gen 2. Obviously, Eeveelutions don't have fists, so they're not going to be able to use them. Now, different Eeveelutions will get access to different TMs based on their typing. Umbreon, unfortunately, doesn't get access to many great things. I mean, Psychic will be nice, but you don't get that until after the Elite Four. So it looks like our move diversity and strength of moves might be an additional problem for Umbreon. That said, even though we don't have any move better than Tackle for Falconer, it really isn't that big a deal. For whatever reason, Pidgey won't go for Mud Slap, it just goes for Tackle. And because our defense is so good, even though Pidgeotto gets to hit us multiple times, we didn't even really need the berry. Umbreon just tanks it really well, which it's a good sign for things to come, I think. It's gonna need that bulk because the next gym leader is Bugsy, and Bugsy does have a Scyther with, albeit a weak, but a bug type move. So Bugsy leads with Metapod, and we're gonna go with Swift. We're still not even at level 16. We got Swift from Union Cave, by the way. A little bit more power. Unfortunately, Kakuna does poison us. This happens quite frequently. And I don't think we're going to be able... Actually, that did way less than I thought it would, but maybe it's possible. I'm probably going to want Pursuit. So what I think I'm going to do here is... let's give Barry... You know what? I think the best thing to do is to actually battle these trainers. And not only will I battle the rest of these trainers in the gym, in order to leave Ilex Forest, I have to battle Rival 2 anyway. And now with Pursuit, we can just one-shot the Ghastly. We actually don't do that much more. Actually, I think we do less with Pursuit than with Swift. I think it depends on the Pokemon, but it seems to be basically the same thing. Either way, we're so bulky, it really didn't matter. And now at level 17, we may just be able to beat Bugsy right here and now. The big thing is I'd like not to get poisoned. I maybe should have equipped a Poison Cure Berry. Pursuit should be better against Kakuna and Metapod because, oh god, of their high defense. But yeah, I'm poisoned. So I'm going to go for Sand Attack since Fury Cutter has a 10% chance to miss. And we get a miss. We actually get 2 misses. And then I went for a Tail Whip so that Swift would start doing more damage. And holy mackerel, this could be a 3-shot. So, Sand Attack, Pursuit, Tail Whip, and Swift. Not the move combo, while poisoned, that I thought we would be able to beat Bugsy with, but yeah, Umbreon's looking pretty good, eh? But if you know Gen 2, you know Whitney can be really difficult. Swift is gone, replaced with Headbutt, which you get from Ilex Forest, and it has a 30% chance to flinch. However, Miltank is really irritating. We actually would prefer it go for Rollout, but sadly, it can still just knock me out. The strat is simple. Try to knock out Clefairy without its metronome being too annoying. I mean, right now that hasn't happened, but that is the play. Getting some flinches would help, but then we want to use Sand Attack and try to get Miltank to miss. There is actually a miss without Sand Attack. Stomp is fine, and actually it might be less fine. Ooh, nice, nice. Another, wow, okay, wait, Pursuit? Hey, we had Stomp miss 3 times? Okay, well, that was pretty lucky, but with Rollout, it would have been a little less lucky. The first hit of Rollout isn't very powerful, so if you can get a miss after 1 or 2 hits, you're pretty much okay. That was not the way I expected to win, but yeah, we'll take that. So silly. All right, at this point, we're about to make our way to Ecruteak City. And Ecruteak inevitably will have the Ghost-type gym leader. However, in Crystal version, you have to battle Rival 3 in the Burnt Tower first. This is an optional battle in Gold and Silver, and unfortunately, he proved to be kind of difficult. Haunter outspeeds and goes for Curse, and Pursuit doesn't even, well, two-shot, I guess, because it was doing half. And at this point, we're just gonna lose. And although beating Morty would be a great way to gain a bunch of experience points for Rival 3, what we can do instead is head to the Kimonos and battle the 5 Eeveelutions. It's kind of funny, we're gonna have to do this in 5 different runs, but the Eeveelutions give a ton of experience points, and so hopefully once we're done beating all of them, although we can't obviously use Surf, unless we're Vaporeon, I just want you guys to acknowledge, once we get Vaporeon to this point, we're going to have a base 95 stab move, which is crazy. I still don't know if it's going to win. Anyway, that's a long ways away. Let's see if Umbreon, after beating these guys, can beat Rival 3. Alright, so this time we outspeed, which is great, and it went for Lick. So we're in perfect position to win at this point, which is great. We're still using the same moveset, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Pursuit. I'm not going to teach Quick Attack, even though I'm a slow Pokemon. Magnemite, however, we actually get really lucky that Sonic Boom misses, and that we only hit ourselves in confusion after the Magnemite faints. If we had hit ourselves in confusion, Magnemite actually could have beaten us. I probably should have taught, instead of Sand Attack, Mud Slap. That was a mistake, but not a costly one, because although it takes many hits to knock out Croconaw, we were able to do so, and once we battle a bunch of trainers, we'll be able to face the 4th gym leader, Morty. In theory, Umbreon should have actually the second best matchup against Morty. We use Pursuit and it one-shots Ghastly. Against Haunter, I actually have to go for Mud Slap because Pursuit wouldn't one-shot and I was worried about Spite. You'll notice we don't have a lot of Pursuits because I was battling all the trainers in Morty's gym, and it looks like we're going to run out of power points. So what I do is I start using Tail Whip, and for whatever reason, Gengar doesn't go for Hypnosis here. Now, I think the reason is... Oh, wait, two-shot? Nice! I think the reason is... Sorry, I was just kind of thrown off by the fact that Gengar didn't use Hypnosis. But I think the reason is that the plan is to use Hypnosis and then Dream Eater, but because I'm Dark-type and Dream Eater won't affect me, it doesn't even bother using Hypnosis. That I did not expect. And you can see I battled all the trainers in Morty's gym, that's why I had so few power points. But a first try victory is a first try victory. Unfortunately for us, I think this is the last of the first try victories for a little while, because the next 2 gym leaders, at least in order, are Chuck, the fighting type gym leader, and then Jasmine, the steel type gym leader. We can avoid Jasmine for a little bit, and I just realized in retrospect I might have made a bit of a mistake. This is based on a false belief I've had that Lance will not appear in the Lake of Rage until you defeat Chuck. This is not the case. However, there is a very good reason to battle Chuck first, generally speaking. Without Chuck, you don't have Fly. And without Fly, it takes a lot longer to get to Lake of Rage. I'll show you that when we go there. And much, much longer to get back. So for that reason, it is efficient to go and battle Chuck first. But with a dark Pokemon, it might seem like a mistake, right? Well, maybe not. You see, in Gold, Silver, Crystal, Chuck's Primate inexplicably has no fighting moves. Meaning, we can not only 3-shot it, but it does very little damage to us. The problem is Poliwrath. Poliwrath has just one fighting move, and, oh, well, Mind Reader really sucks. But the fighting move is Dynamic Punch. It is 100 base power, so it is very strong, and yet Umbreon is so bulky, we actually tank it. But the plan, and this could take a few attempts, is to just lower its accuracy, its 50% accuracy with Mud Slap, and then either stall out the Dynamic Punches. Oh, well, that sucks. Or knock it out. Okay, so that was, by the way, 4 Dynamic Punches. I mean, it hit twice, and so we lost. But you can see how if we do like 5 attempts or so, I think we'll get a win. The first thing I need that makes things a lot easier, although it actually doesn't really matter, is Primeape to miss with Leer. It has a 25% chance of doing that, thanks Gen 1 and 2. So after a flinch, we knock it out in 3 hits. Now the plan is to go for Mud Slap, Tail Whip, and Headbutt. Unfortunately, the first Dynamic Punch hits, but that's only because it used Mind Reader first, which meant it had to hit. But then we get Miss 1 and 2, and there's Miss 3, and we win against Chuck. Much quicker than I thought we would, actually. But hey, I said about 5 attempts, I think that was 3. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's not bad at all. And now we have access to Fly. Oh yeah, by the way, so when I said Fly makes getting to Lake of Rage quicker, here's what I meant. So there's a second left part, let's call it, of Lake of Rage that most people don't go to, and it has useful items, and the big item we want is Rare Candy. If we were able to use Hidden Power, by the way, this is where we would get it. But once I'm done with all of this, I actually can just fly back to Lake of Rage, and then you can battle. I'm actually going to catch the Red Gyarados because it can learn, Surf, which we already obviously have a Surfer, but it can learn Waterfall and Whirlpool, making it really easy, and you have to battle it anyway, so it just makes sense. Now, the advantage of doing this before Chuck would be that there are a bunch of rockets with very weak Pokemon that I can beat, yet they're not weak enough to... Oh my god, that's embarrassing. But anyway, you can see what I'm doing here. I just have to battle a bunch of trainers. Very tedious section, but I'll gain valuable levels, which should make, well, in this case, Jasmine a little easier, but that might be really difficult. I'm going to skip the trainers and Price's gym. I'm hoping we can just beat Jasmine. Price I'm not too worried about. Seal just required 2 headbutts. Dugong, the question is, do we get it within resting range? And sadly, the answer was yes. So this could take a little bit longer than I want. Hopefully not too much longer. You'll notice I now have Shadow Ball as well as Mud Slap. Shadow Ball is a physical move, but it is fairly strong. 80 base power. Not bad. And then Piloswine, Blizzard does decent damage. And then am I going to lose? Oh, I actually didn't mean to reset there. We would have won. Oh well, maybe I can do this battle faster. This is actually an instance of where speed might actually come into play here. Because if I'm smarter with Dugong, it might not rest. No, it rested. Oh well. Okay, so I'm just going to speed through Dugong, and then Piloswine, I have more than enough HP. I don't know why I reset. I think I was distracted. I was looking at my moveset and thinking about what possible moves I could use for Jasmine, and I came up with a really great strategy. Want to see it? Well, against her Magnemite, we can go for Mud Slap, and hopefully Thunder Wave will miss. And, oh, actually went for Supersonic. Perfect. So that's great. We won't be paralyzed. Perfect. Oh, actually it missed anyway. Now look at this strategy. We just go for Mud Slap and hope Iron Tail... Oh, well, it just hit us. And we hope Iron Tail doesn't hit. It's 70 accuracy, so if we just keep spamming Mud Slap, we should be great, right? Well, you think so, but no. No, that really won't work. Because, look how little damage we do with pretty much every move. If I lower special defense, Pursuit will do a little bit more. I don't know why I keep going for Shadow Ball, but... it doesn't really matter. Actually, I think she's going to run out of Iron Tails pretty soon. But here's the problem. If she runs out of Iron Tails, she'll just use Rock Throw, which has way more accuracy. That, by the way, was the only battle, the very first one, in which she ran out of Iron Tail. Also, I was being sarcastic. I have no strategy for her. There is no good moves. There is nothing. Look at the move pool. Show the move pool again. There is nothing. There is nothing, even in theory, I could use... because I kind of messed up. I should have delayed teaching Shadow Ball and kept Confuse Ray. Now, that would have been a super lucky strategy, but I think the combination of Mud Slap making Steelix miss and then Confuse Ray hitting itself in confusion might have done the trick. But sadly, there is no move relearner in Pokemon Crystal. And while I battled Jasmine over and over and over and over and over and over again, I was unable to beat her. Until I thought about something. So first thing you'll notice, I'm at level 36. That's because I went back into the lighthouse to get something I missed and battled a bunch of trainers along the way. Now, Oh, darn, I'm confused. All right, we're just going to reset. But you might have seen what I'm going to use, but if you haven't yet, oh God, are you not ready for this amazing quote-unquote strategy? All we need is one Thunder Wave miss and Supersonic not to hit. If it goes for it, perfect. We're ready for Steelix. And now we go Mud Slap, and I deleted Headbutt since it can be rebought in Goldenrod, which is where I'm going, for Swagger. Now, Swagger is not as good as Confuse Ray because now Iron Tail does way more. However, it hitting itself in Confusion will also deal more damage, which still does barely anything. Now I have Feint Attack as well, which does a little bit more than Pursuits did, and we actually might win. Wait. Oh, so close. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm actually kind of proud of this one. I mean, listen, it is a very trolly strategy, very Umbreon. If you remember Karen's Umbreon, which, trust me, Karen's Umbreon is going to be a problem. But this is pretty much the strategy it uses, just with Sand Attack and Confuse Ray. I've had to make some modifications with Mud Slap and Swagger. And truth be told, once you get hit by enough Iron Tails, Swagger stops mattering because the next Iron Tail knocks you out anyway. The strategy, by the way, was to go for all 6 Mud Slaps as quick as possible. And we actually get really lucky with a crit Feint Attack, and then it hit itself in Confusion. That was a little bit lucky, but I mean, if you battle enough times, you're going to get something. Now we're ready to level up a bunch in the Team Rocket section, and then eventually we will battle the next gym leader, Claire. Sadly, I think I'm going to have to delete Swagger because I need better attacking moves to knock out all the very weak Pokemon that are coming up. So that's going to suck. I might not even have Headbutt anymore. I might swap to Return since my friendship should be high enough to do more damage than Headbutt, although that flinch chance is really, really clutch. But since we do gotta go fast, I did teach Return, and I mean, look, that's decent damage. We even get a Thunder Wave miss, which is super great. I actually don't have a Paralysis Cure Berry equipped because I didn't want to waste it. I could get another one, but it would require me to reset the clock, and that's annoying and tedious. We should, in theory, be fine. I mean, look how tanky we are. Oh, actually, now we're not going to be fine. Oh, wait, maybe. Oh, wait, maybe. Yay! We're so tanky. Holy moly. Let me say this. Umbreon takes a very long time to knock out Pokemon. I doubt it's going to be the best Eeveelution, but the fact it's first try victorying most battles, or at least can do it within 3 to 5, meaning I don't need to level up much. The only one we've had to so far was Jasmine. That's pretty key because other Pokemon might not have that lasting power that Umbreon does, and especially against the Elite Four as we head there right now. If Umbreon doesn't need to level up, that is going to, I mean, that's why the legendary birds took as long as they did. None of them could beat the Elite Four without leveling up a ton. It didn't help that they were all in the slow level up group, which meant they had lower levels than they otherwise would if they were in the medium fast, like Umbreon, or all the Eeveelutions for that matter. But this is a big moment to see how Umbreon is going to do. This is really the moment to see how the Eeveelutions are going to do. It's the Elite Four and Red that can just add hours to your run, because if we can't beat them at this level, I have the rare candies, but if we need to level up, that is super, super time consuming in this game. And sometimes you just need to do it. Hopefully, Umbreon doesn't. First up, everyone's favorite Elite Four member in trope, the will they, won't they? Will they win? Well, you'll notice something interesting. You may have noticed it already. I don't have a dark move. That's because with my stats, Umbreon actually does more damage with Shadow Ball, a physical attack, non-same type attack move, a ghost move, than it would do with Feint Attack. At this level, it isn't able to one-shot everything, including a Xatu, which is annoying, but unsurprisingly, it has a pretty easy time beating Will. Where it's going to have a much tougher time is Koga, specifically Koga's Forretress. Because Forretress, like Jasmine's Pokemon, I don't really have anything... Oops, almost threw away the pink ball. I want to equip it. I don't really have any great move in modern Pokemon. Shadow Ball would do neutral damage, as would Feint Attack, by the way. And Shadow Ball would do special damage, which would be great. Against Ariados, by the way, we can just double return, well, or triple return. Actually, I'm just going to go Shadow Ball. Level 49, that's pretty good. Venomoth, I need it not to use Toxic. Supersonic sucks, but it's fine. Now out comes Forretress. So here's the idea. I'm going to try Mud Slap because eventually Forretress likes to go for Explosion. And if I can get it to miss... Oh, it also goes for Protect. That's annoying. If I can get it to miss, that's really good. As you can see, I can kind of weaken it a little bit, but eventually, yeah, it just hit and I lose. So that doesn't look very promising. What if I told you it's actually just one Mud Slap away from working? You might not believe me, but it's a weird game, guys. First things first, I used my rare candies to get up to level 51, and at this point, this is going to be pretty much what the will battle is going to look like. Executor and Slowbro are going to be 2-shots, and they can be kind of annoying, but the battle is an auto win. You one-shot both Xatu and Jinx, and nothing can really hit you. So for the rest of the run, there's really no need to talk about will, since this is basically, we're not going to be at a lower level than this. This is our final form. I mean, if we have to keep leveling up, it's just going to be a one-shot, which is even easier. This is a good time to mention one of my rules is I do not save between Elite Four members. Why? It's to avoid trying to just brute force my way through the Elite Four. It makes these runs far more exciting, but also far more consistent. You can brute force Pokemon at really low levels if you use Swagger and Mud Slap, both of which I have, and that's not really what this challenge is about. So we have to beat the Elite Four in one go, including the champion. My ultra difficult runs, I don't bother with this, but for runs like these where we're measuring Pokemon for speed, oh yeah, no saving. Anyway, this battle goes a lot better because although I didn't know about the 3 Mud Slap equals no explosion rule, I'll show you guys a battle eventually. It's ridiculous when I figured that out, which yes, spoiler means that we're not winning right here. I'll show you what goes wrong. But anyway, this battle, Muck is annoying because it goes for Minimize, although Return being able to 2-shot is great. Sadly, it cannot 2-shot Crobat. Now, I have deleted Swagger for Moonlight, but Moonlight works very differently in Gen 2. This is very important. Very important. In a Link battle and in most situations, unlike now where it heals half your health, it only heals 1/4, which is how I thought it worked. And in this battle, I actually lose to Crobat's Toxic. I was pretty frustrated, I'll be honest with you. Little did I know I was much closer to winning than I could have possibly imagined. But yeah, we'll talk about that. Oh God. We'll talk about it. Trust me, I do get a win against Koga here. I know, spoiler, I'm the worst, but I mean, listen, there's not really much else to say about Koga. Haven't figured out the Mud Slap Explosion exploit yet. I actually used Swagger this time. That's really dumb because if it did go for Explosion, I would be just in a terrible position. I, by the way, use a Poison Cure Berry and get a critical hit here. In future battles, which I will show you, there is a much better way to do this, but for now, I am going to equip Pink Bow and try my luck versus Bruno, who I know in Red and Blue is a joke, but is certainly not a joke here for a Dark-type Pokemon. I can't believe 2 fighting types. It's awful. Now, Hitmontop does not have a fighting move. It's just going to go for Dig, so I'll just avoid using any move that's of value, and Return 2 of it knocks it out. Hitmonlee. If it hits me, I'm doomed, but it's a one-shot with Return. That is clutch. Thank you, I bought all those proteins. Hitmonchan is a 2-shot, but its only fighting move is Mach Punch. So I'm in a pretty good spot for Machamp. However, it has Cross Chop, which has a 20% chance to miss, and it does! Yay! And then we have Onix, which I actually don't have great moves for. And Sandstorm in this game does 1/8. Am I going to lose to Onix? No, that Earthquake miss was clutch, but we make it to Karen. I know I'm giving a lot of foreshadowing, but I just want to say watching these battles really annoys me because, I'm just doing something so wrong, and it would take a while. I'll tell you, trust me. I'll let you know when I figure something out, but some of you might already know. For now, Karen being dark type might not be so bad, but her Umbreon sucks. Always goes for Sand Attack and Confuse Ray. Okay, not always, but it feels like it always does. And then Vileplume always goes for Stun Spore. Thankfully, in this battle, I actually crit it. And because of that, she's actually kind of a joke. Later battles, this wouldn't happen, and I would actually lose to Karen. But I'll tell you, I had about a 75% win rate, even though she's pretty luck-based. So that's not bad. Now we make it to Lance. Lance actually... I don't even want to talk about it because I just... Oh, God. Yeah, we'll just show the battle. Ugh, God, I'm so mad. I can't believe... It doesn't matter, by the way. All right, so I go for return. It's a 2-shot versus Gyarados. Easy peasy. Dragonite, it's going to be a 3-shot with return. I have the Paralysis Cure Berry, so Thunder Wave basically did nothing. Unfortunately, it went for it again, but then it goes for Hyper Beam. Look how little that does. I mean, if only I had a way to heal. I might be able to actually wait it out since it keeps going for Hyper Beam. Too bad I don't. But a problem arises in that I have nothing to hit Aerodactyl with. At least nothing I have taught so far. This battle was really bad because I should have foreseen Aerodactyl and taught Iron Tail. For what? I don't know. And rather than keep Swagger, which I don't really need anymore, I should have taught Moonlight. And now is where I really need to talk about Moonlight. First things first, as I show you this Koga battle, I should tell you that I got some rare candies that are just a little bit out of the way. I'd like to avoid them if I can, but clearly I was having issues. And you can see now versus Koga, it's a little bit easier. This is actually how I figure out the whole Mud Slap thing, because with Moonlight, hey, if only we had that for Lance, right? I'm able to stall it out, and that's when I discovered, oh, if I just hit it with enough accuracy moves, it just won't go for Explosion. Additionally, the extra levels made Crobat a 2-shot, making Koga not 100% consistent, but way more consistent. Same thing could be said for Bruno. Bruno was pretty consistent, but definitely not 100%. Moonlight really helps here. Everything you've seen up to Machamp is pretty much the same thing, except typically Machamp will not miss with Cross Chop. However, if we do tank it and knock it out, I can then use Moonlight. Well, sometimes it gets a critical hit. That just happens. I'll show you a different Bruno battle. Okay, so I actually lost again because I didn't do what I'm about to do here. So after Hitmonlee uses the first Mach Punch, I mean, I wish this would restore more HP. It's only restoring a quarter. So frustrating. If only it did more. Grr. But, you know, what can we do? I mean, that's just how Moonlight works, right? If only. And look, I have Iron Tail now for Onix. But now I have more than enough HP. I got lucky versus Machamp, but I'd be able to tank it and then use Moonlight because Onix doesn't deal that much damage. Moonlight is also super useful for Karen because she likes to stall and do a lot of annoying stuff, and being able to Moonlight makes it a little bit easier. We actually come very close to losing. Full disclosure, this was not the Karen battle in the run you just saw. That was actually the next Karen battle. Now, other than forgetting to restore my power points for return, I actually somehow dropped my max elixir, but I'll go get another one later. Here looks great, like we can win, easy. Return, we already talked about this. And then we even get a Thunder Wave miss. And then we get the Paralysis Cure Berry. Things are looking fantastic. I mean, we can go Iron Tail, which is 100 base power, although it can miss. Twister does nothing. And then, actually, on the Hyper Beam, we could have maybe healed, but it's all right. Then on Aerodactyl, look how little Wing Attack does. We can just heal with some Moonlight. And, oh, Iron Tail missing sucks. And then Hyper Beam. All right, can we not be paralyzed? But yeah, Moonlight. Listen, I mean, oh, well, that crit sucks. All right, are you kidding me? But, like, you can see this would work well. We could win like this. It might be a little difficult, but what if I told you Moonlight can restore half my HP? I just didn't know how it worked in Gen 2. So let's watch this battle versus Bruno. We're going to skip very quickly through the first two Pokemon and get to Hitmonchan. And what? We're restoring a ton of HP. And then after Cross Chop from a champ, wait, maybe Onix could knock us out, but what's going on? This is crazy, J-Rose. How are you restoring? Okay, I'll stop being annoying. Yeah, in Gen 2 and in Gen 2 only, Moonlight, Sunny Day, and Synthesis depends on the time of day. In modern Pokemon, it does not work this way. Exclusively for Gen 2, they work the way I thought they worked, but only in morning for Morning Sun, not day, which is why I didn't think this worked properly, because I'd always use Morning Sun, day for Synthesis, and night for Moonlight. Yes, this makes complete logical sense, but no, this is not how the moves work today, which is why it messed me up, and it also only does a quarter in multiplayer battles, which is another reason I didn't realize this mechanic was in the game. Now we have way more leeway, because even when we get horrific and terrible luck, we have so much HP restored by Moonlight, we can win even with the worst Karen luck I've seen in a long time. Unfortunately, I didn't realize I had dropped my Max Elixir accidentally. I have a Max Ether, but I need to use that for Moonlight, and so I won't be able to use Return, which actually didn't cost me this battle, but yeah, it's frustrating. Don't worry, I would get another Max Elixir. So we have to go for Shadow Ball instead of Return, but thankfully we can still two-shot the Gyarados. Now I have to be a little careful with Dragonite. I'm still equipping Paralysis Cure Berry, but unfortunately it went for Thunder Wave twice and I am paralyzed. However, we should in theory be fine, because Iron Tail is a 100 base power move, and when things go badly, as long as we don't get horrendous luck, we can Moonlight. So we should be good. And we're making our way slowly through the second Dragonite. Aerodactyl, Ancient Power, alright, Paralyzed is fine. Iron Tail hits. Now we just have Charizard and the final Dragonite. We have plenty of HP. Charizard's going to be a 3-shot. I'm actually running out of Shadow Balls, which is a problem. But that's okay. I have a few Moonlights remaining. We should be fine. I have 109 HP. Let's go for Moonlight. Alright, I'm paralyzed. Outrage, I'm paralyzed. Outrage, I'm paralyzed? Are you kidding me? What is this? Oh my, wow. That's awful. What are even the odds of that? It's 25%, and then a quarter of that is like 7 points. It's like 1%. Turns out the Max Elixir was just deposited into my PC, so all I had to do was just get it, and yeah, we win. I mean, this battle went crazy where the Dragonite missed with the first Thunder Wave and then went for Thunder. So we're not even paralyzed, meaning it's going to be even easier. The second Dragonite actually has to go for Thunder Wave now to paralyze me, but I still have that Paralysis Cure Berry. So not only do we win at nearly full HP. You know, like, Outrage did nothing. We're so tanky. Guys, I cannot express to you how disappointed in myself I am. I should have won a long time ago, but thank goodness we go by in-game time and not real time, because Umbreon smashed the Elite Four. Once I figured out how its best move, Moonlight, works, very few Pokemon get recovery moves and are as bulky as Umbreon, but the combination of Return, Iron Tail, and Moonlight was amazing. Now, the Kanto gyms are really easy, and we have a lot of Pokemon to get through, so I'm just going to tell you, we beat them all. First try. They're really, really easy. If we lose to any of them, including Blue, who's a little difficult, I will show the battle, but since we didn't, I don't need to show any of them. Well, other than the Blue battle that's been playing in the background while I talk, but you know what I mean. As I've said, Red often makes or breaks these runs. Let's see how Umbreon does, because I have a strat. So Red is going to send out Pikachu. My moveset is Curse, Protect, Toxic, alongside the Leftovers, which you can acquire multiple different ways. I actually just got the one in Celadon City. So the goal is to set up 6 curses versus Pikachu and then try to sweep through the team. And when I need to, go for Protect as well as Toxic to stall Pokemon. Now this actually would prove to be an inefficient moveset for reasons you may or may not have figured out, but if you haven't, don't worry. It did work in knocking out Snorlax, but you may think, J-Rose, there's another move you could have used that would have been even better. And certainly, that seems to be the case. After Snorlax gets knocked out, Charizard does way too much damage with Flamethrower. And even though I'm able to one-shot it, Curse, by lowering my speed, everything gets to hit me. And while I am able to make it 2 Blastoise, sadly, I didn't curse enough, and I wasn't able to knock it out. If I did, by the way, knock it out, there's no way Espeon would do enough damage. I would have just won. I made one small important change, and it made all the difference. Instead of Toxic, why do we need it? We'll just go for Moonlight. Now, sadly, Pikachu can go for Charm. So I'm actually now at -1. I'm even now. It's hard to keep up with where I am. So I'm actually only even. Thankfully, although I'm paralyzed, I can Moonlight, and Thunder has a chance to miss. So I'm +1, I'm +2, but I don't know that. I wasn't really keeping count, and I was focused on a bunch of different things. I'm now +3, and I start attacking. So I'm only +3, keep in mind. So +3 against Snorlax does about half. So I'm happy to just knock it out in a 2-shot. Venusaur, I don't want it to use Sunny Day Solar Beam because that's really strong. And the paralysis does suck, but leftovers are needed. Now, you might say J-Rose would have rest been better, but I don't think so. I think, funny enough, by the way, Sunny Day plus Moonlight does 2/3, just so you know. The strat I have here is to stall out Sunny Day, so it's not up versus Charizard, which is why I go for Curse, trying to stall out the sun. Also, a little bit of extra attack isn't a problem. I'm now +4, and now I'm +5. When my health runs low, I can just go for Moonlight, and eventually I decide just to knock out the Venusaur, and then I go for Protect, hoping that Sun will run out, but I mistimed it. Thankfully, I'm able to tank Flamethrower and Moonlight because, oh, well, Protect. I wish I wasn't paralyzed there. Oh, that was bad because otherwise I would have been in a perfect position. Still, 125 HP should be enough for Blastoise. I don't know if I one-shot or not. It goes for Rain Dance, which sucks. Then it hits with Surf, but, oh, I'm +5, and so I don't knock it out. I then have to Protect, and now, Surf, I'm only at 3 HP. But remember I said Espeon doesn't deal enough damage? Well, look how little damage it does. It goes for Reflect, and then Swift, which does 6. Even a critical hit didn't do enough. I shouldn't have gone for Moonlight. I should have just attacked. Actually, it used Reflect, so I wouldn't have one-shot it. But in the end, Umbreon was amazing. That only took 3 total battles versus Red, and as we save, 710. Level 69. To put that in perspective, that makes Umbreon better than 2 legendary Pokemon and at the same finish time as Ho-Oh. And that's incredible. I mean, Moonlight really helped us out there. But is there going to be an Eeveelution that's even better? I think there might be. So I went back to asking Twitch chat what they wanted to see, and they chose Jolteon. Now, Jolteon's best stat is in its speed, its second best stat is in its special attack, and its third best stat in its special defense. This is okay. I mean, as we saw with Umbreon, speed wasn't actually that big of an issue, because typically we'll level up enough that we should outspeed most things. So, other than the very early game, the 130 base speed seems a little wasted. At the very least, you'd rather that speed and special attack be switched. Spoiler, there's an Eeveelution that does exactly that, which we will get to. But the bigger problem I see with Jolteon is its moveset. Jolteon gets actually some really cool moves, but only gets 2 electric moves via level up, and Thunderbolt is not one of them. For most of the game, we'll be stuck with a very pitiful base 40 power Thunder Shock. And sadly, For the very first gym, I know we're skipping ahead quick, we're not going to have Thunder Shock. And unlike with Umbreon, Faulkner is very happy to use Mud Slap here. And Mud Slap not only is super effective, but also lowers my accuracy, making these battles, honestly, I was wondering if I'd need to level up. However, it actually didn't take very long to get a win. And against Pidgey, I just went for Tackle, and thankfully I hit all 3 times. Pidgeotto, I went for Sand Attack, fight fire with fire, so to speak. And then I used a couple Tail Whips, just so that my tackles would do a little bit more damage. Tail Whip is 100 accuracy versus Tackle at 95. When you have some accuracy drops, it matters. And it only took 5 hits, including the 2 Tail Whips and 3 Tackles, in order to beat Pidgeotto. The truth is, the Eeveelutions for early game are still fairly bulky, so that went much better than expected. And this time, unlike Umbreon, we're going to be getting a really useful move, at least for the early game, that should make Bugsy a complete joke. Now, I'll admit I battled an extra trainer to make sure I was at level 16, but you'll see I have Thunder Shock, and we can just use that to beat pretty much everything, albeit in 2 hits. That's better than Swift, which, as you can see, I got again, but we're not really going to show it off in battle at all. However, it's going to be used in every single run for Slowpoke Well and the trainers here. I'm not going to be showing as many random trainers as I did for Umbreon because there is going to be a lot of overlap between these runs. Of course, I will talk about where they differ. But because even though for some of you, you may watch this video in chunks, I'm going to assume you remember where all the TMs are from the Umbreon part, or you can just look it up on Bulbapedia, but yeah, I don't want this video to be too repetitive. And in the spirit of things not being repetitive, Rival 2 is actually really difficult. Well, I mean, of course, I didn't heal, so that's going to be a factor, but I have really nothing great for Bayleaf. Swift, with only 65 base attack, and Bayleaf is fairly bulky, it doesn't actually do enough, so I had to go heal. Even at full health, it's actually a little dicey. And while I am able to beat Rival 2 with quite a bit of health to spare, I think literally the exact same amount of health I entered the first battle with, it's going to be a little bit difficult. By the way, I'm just going to buy repels. It's going to be a little bit difficult for the next rival battle, which is coming up fairly soon, because even though I will get Pin Missile for the 4th rival battle, I know I'm thinking way ahead here, that 3rd rival battle, I'm not going to have any good moves because Jolteon, like Umbreon, doesn't get great physical moves. And while I thought for Umbreon, Croconaw would be the biggest challenge, Bayleaf is certainly quite annoying for Jolteon. First things first, I have to go battle Whitney, and I did battle the trainers in the underground first. You have to battle them anyway, so I got a little bit of extra leveling up. For Clefairy, it's just 3 Thunder Shocks, and that went okay. Now the strat is Mud Slap, so that rollout only hits once or not at all, but instead what happens is Stomp misses 3 times in a row. I don't even know how unlikely that is, but that certainly was not the idea. I don't know why, A, it didn't go for rollout, and B, why Whitney got the accuracy we usually get against Karen. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I'll take it. All right, moving on to Rival 3. This is going to be a problem in a couple more runs. We need Haunter not to use Curse. Actually, the crit, funny enough, because of weird ways crits work, doesn't actually matter too much. It would be a 2-shot with just Thunder Shock. But yeah, the other big thing is that Bayleaf is actually kind of not great for Jolteon. So I went for Mud Slap, 2 Tail Whips, and then Swift. Going out of my way to get Headbutt may have made a little sense here, but I still don't know if it would have saved any time. All right, Morty is next, and against Morty, we're just going to go for Thunder Shock, and it doesn't one-shot, and we get paralyzed, which is half good, half bad. Being slow no, it's just bad because it went for Curse. But now Gengar can't put us to sleep, but it really doesn't matter. Although that crit may have helped. Actually, after Shadow Ball, we're going to faint. So there's a loss to Morty. We don't want to be paralyzed. We don't want Curse. Jolteon is going to have a bit of a harder time than Umbreon did. All right, well, we don't one-shot Ghastly, so it can use Curse, meaning we're minus 20 for Haunter. It tries to put us to sleep and fails, which is lucky, but Gengar can easily do that if it so, well, hits. And, well, it goes Mean Look, which is fine. We're actually going to 3-shot it. It misses with Hypnosis. If I get, actually, I don't even need a crit. We might just win, but it goes for Nightshade. So, that would have been close if it gone for, I don't know, something that didn't do damage. I'm not actually sure if that last Haunter can even do that. All right, one more. So this time, Ghastly goes for like no paralysis. This is good. We probably have this. Haunter actually went for Nightshade, so no Curse. We're at 54. We go Thundershock, Hypnosis miss, Thundershock, Shadow Ball, Thundershock. We should be good. We're at level 27. Thundershock, Mean Look, and there we go. Took a few attempts. Jolteon did not have the greatest matchup versus Morty, but job done, and that is 4 gym badges. Now, in theory, Chuck should be a little easier for Jolteon. We're going to go still for Thundershock. It's our best move. Primeape goes for Leer, but misses. And then Karate Chop. So we have 71 HP. Now we're going to go for super effective Thundershock, and we paralyze. Fully paralyzed, Dynamic Punch. We still lost. I guess that can still crit. What are the odds of that? I think the odds of that are like 4%, which is crazy. Anyway, take 2. Thundershock, this time Leer does hit. We paralyze. Rage is somewhat fine, but I think 1 Dynamic Punch might knock us out. No, it doesn't, but we're confused. Okay. All right, we got this. Yeah. All right. Well, took 1 more attempt than I thought it would. Still, a fairly quick battle versus Chuck. Would it be nice if we had something like Shockwave or Thunderbolt? Yes. Yes, it would. But what can you do, right? Jolteon will not have a great time versus Jasmine, although, funny enough, even though Steelix is a ground Pokemon, it will be better than Umbreon, which is so funny. I think it will be. I'm still going to go battle Price first, who also has a ground Pokemon, but thanks to Gen 2 movesets, it's also kind of terrible. Alrighty, so Price leads with Seal, pure water type, Thundershock one-shots. Nice! Now Price goes directly into Piloswine, so I'm going to go for Double Kick. This is one of the great moves. Oh my god, I went for Tail Whip, it had used Mist. This is like the first time Mist has ever been useful. But Double Kick being a fighting move not only helps versus Piloswine, which again, doesn't have a ground move, so it's not that big a threat, but it should help immensely versus Jasmine. And also, I'm going to get Pin Missile. I can get rid of... what do I want to get rid of here? It's actually a bit of a question. No, I actually need Pin Missile. I have to battle Price again. No, we're going to need it. I think I can get rid of Tail Whip. It's funny, I don't think I'm going to need it long term, but medium term, it should help versus Rival 4. Anyway, after going 2 for 2 versus Price, I battled Jasmine. So I'm going to go Double Kick, which one-shots Magnemite, and I actually got rid of Mud Slap for that reason. So we one-shot both Magnemite, then I go Tail Whip. Iron Tail is resisted. A second Tail Whip, no defense drop, and this should be a 3-shot, but it goes for Screech, and then Iron Tail misses, but Jasmine then heals. We need 1 more tank, and we get it on just 6 HP, and it was the resistance to Iron Tail, which is why I thought even though Jolteon doesn't have great defenses, it might be better than Umbreon, and sure enough, I was correct. Also, having a super effective move, even a physical move, kind of helped. But that was a first try victory. We're going to have to battle a ton of Team Rocket grunts, and we'll pick things up at Claire. Alrighty, so one thing that's important to note, electric Pokemon can be paralyzed. I go for Return, and I'm paralyzed by Thunder Wave, which is a problem for multiple reasons. Slam is hitting me, doing some damage. I'm at 74 for Dragonair number 3. This is Dragonair number 3. Another Slam, I'm only at 55. And I don't think I'm going to tank a Hyper Beam or Surf. It goes for Hyper Beam, and I do not tank it. So, alright. Might need a Paralysis Cure Berry. After trying one more time, and of course losing without the Paralysis Cure Berry, I go and get one from just outside Violet City. And this time, because even though we're going to get paralyzed probably later, it just wastes a turn for not just 1, but 2 Dragonair. Especially because Thunder Wave has a 25% chance in this generation to miss, when used by the opponent, of course. And not only does it miss once, it misses twice. And by the time we get to Kingdra, the smoke screen is annoying, but it's not going to I mean, it would have three-shot it, but Hyper Potion. Thankfully, we only miss once with Return. Hyper Beam crits, and I tank on 3 HP. That is now 2 consecutive gym leaders that we have survived on just a handful of HP. And that wasn't too bad, guys. Jolteon did a really good job. Again, I just said this, but if we had a stronger electric move, it would have been even faster. But this was pretty good so far. But where Umbreon really did super well was the Elite Four. I mean, not at first. I had to remember how Moonlight worked. But once I figured that out, it didn't take very long. Jolteon, on the other hand, I don't see any necessarily terrible matchups. I see one, but I also don't see any great matchups. So this should be a bit of a question. Let's see if the answer is easy victory. First up, will they, won't they? And Will's going to start with Xatu. Thankfully, Thunder Shock is enough to knock it out. Against Jinx, I go for Pin Missile. This actually was the wrong move, but it knocks it out anyway. Executor Pin Missile is double super effective, and that's the right move. It knocks it out, although that's pretty lucky. I accidentally went for Pin Missile against Slowbro, and see, even with Amnesia, Thunder Shock is better. I get kind of bad luck there, and I misclicked. The crit really sucks. It looks like we're going to be fine, though, right? Well, we don't one-shot Xatu. It actually goes for Psychic. And sadly, even though it looks like I could win, with 3 HP, it can go for Quick Attack. That one was kind of my fault, so I try again. I still have rare candies I could use, by the way, so keep that in mind. We don't have to be at level 48. I just want to see when we need to use them, if at all. This time we get a little worse luck against Executor, but we get Xatu coming out before Slowbro, which proved to be pretty important. Because against the Slowbro, after it went for Amnesia and Leech Seed was equipped, the Psychic really took me down to almost, well, actually only 17 HP. But yeah, that wasn't great. Now against Koga, we're gonna go for Thunder Shock against Ariados. It's a 2-shot. I miss. Giga Drain, still a 2-shot. Not bad, right? Fortress, it doesn't have great special defense, but Thunder Shock, only base 40 power. It's only so good, and it's a 3-shot. Venomoth, it's going to be a 3-shot as well, and it's able to confuse me, get my HP down with a Psychic. I'm at 92 HP for Muck, and then Thunder Shock, it's going to be like a 5-shot. The crit, oh, well, 2 crits is going to make a difference there. So I 3-shot it. Actually, I might win here. And then I Thunder Shock Crobat, and then another Thunder Shock, so we win. But yeah, we're probably going to need to level up. Now, the one trainer I was a little worried about was Bruno, because Bruno does have Onyx, and Jolteon has nothing great for Onyx. Also note, even if there are cuts here, we are not saving between Elite Four members. If I lose, you'll notice that. I go for Return since their special defense is pretty good. It doesn't really matter. It will always go for Dig, and so I'm at 106. Now, Onyx. I can go for Double Kick, and it's going to be a 3-shot, but it can go for Earthquake. I mean, Onyx's attack is so low, it doesn't do that much. However, it is enough to knock me out before I can knock it out. And as I suspected, Bruno was not a great matchup for a Jolteon. Alright, so I used the rare candies. I actually used them at the beginning, which alters the strategy a little bit, but I still win. The big difference is that we now have Thunder instead of Thunder Shock, which is literally 3 times as strong. Now, this is going to make a difference, but not versus Onyx. The extra levels will make a difference because Onyx now is a 2-shot, and it actually went for Sandstorm, which in the long run is worse, although it will damage my opponents. Against Hitmonlee, I go for Return, which with Sandstorm knocks it out. And Hitmonchan, the 2 hits of Sandstorm, since it'll always go for Mach Punch, plus Return is enough to knock it out. But now I have to hit Thunder from a champ, and if I do, I win. 70% is not the greatest odds for a victory, but we'll take it. I mean, it's still more than half the time we're going to get to Karen, and that's pretty good. Also, I have no useful items, so I just equip Amulet Coin. I'll talk about why a little bit later, but didn't end up mattering. Okay, so against Karen, I want to go for Double Kick just because Umbreon sucks. It goes for Confuse Ray, which sucks. I guess I should have equipped Bitterberry. And then it goes for Sand Attack, which sucks more. I knock it out with Return, but now Vileplume comes out. I'm confused. I'm now paralyzed. My accuracy is lowered. And while it is a 2-shot against Vileplume in theory, in practice I can go for Moonlight, making it a 3-shot, and I actually never get to knock out the Vileplume. So my first time against Karen was about normal. That's how most battles go against her. She's awful, especially in solo runs. That said, I make it right back to her on the next attempt, which I always like to see. And you can see I've changed. Oh, I went for Thunder. I'm gonna go for Double Kick. I thought Thunder might be the play here. But after she confuses me, I go for Rain Dance. And then I go for Thunder, which knocks out Umbreon. My accuracy now for Thunder is infinite. It won't miss. But what will miss is Stun Spore. And that means I win. Because Thunder now will not miss against Gengar. It will maybe miss against Houndoom because the rain ended, but it doesn't. And then Murkrow, it might miss, but it doesn't. So we have made it to the champion. This actually took no time at all. So far, so good. But although all the champions Pokemon are flying type, 3 of them are also dragon. And I actually don't have another Paralysis Cure Berry, which I could really have used. So that was a mistake. I may need to go get another one. But let's see how this goes. First thing you should know is Gyarados always goes for Rain Dance turn 1. I don't know why, but then I don't have to do it. So I go Return, then knock it out with Thunder. So now Dragonite, I need this to one-shot. It doesn't, and I'm paralyzed. That's really unfortunate. Because if I had one-shot it, well, I mean, look, I wouldn't have been paralyzed there. Paralyzed twice, by the way. And I would have probably easily been able to knock out Dragonite number 2. So this is a case where leveling up one more time, I think will be huge. There is another rare candy I typically avoid getting. I mean, there's one in the Bell Tower, and then there's one in the Whirl Islands. I could also battle some trainers. So this is something I really need to think about. That's why I'm considering going back through Victory Road. But in the end, I found even faster trainers to battle. And after a loss to Will, and 2 more losses to Karen, because Karen sucks, we make it back to Lance at level 58. And here we have the victory, I believe. Because we should, if my math is correct, one-shot... Oh, we don't. But Thunder Wave misses. Oh. Okay, that changes things. Rain is still going. I go for Thunder. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, the math was wrong. But the Paralysis Cure Berry plus that miss should be enough. I go for Rain Dance. It goes for Outrage. I go for Thunder. It's going to 2-shot. It actually paralyzes. That means Lance is going to heal, which isn't actually a problem because we're going to knock it out with Thunder Return. Unfortunately, I think that's it for the Rain. No, one more turn of Rain. So there goes Charizard. We just have to hit Aerodactyl with Thunder and we win. Oh, we miss. No, not a crit. But then we hit and we win. All right, so my math was off. I wanted to one-shot the Dragonite, but in the end, we didn't even need to. Jolteon did a fantastic job versus the Elite Four, and I wonder now, I have no idea. Red is going to make a huge difference. But before I talk about Red, watch this battle versus Erica. This is unbelievable. So I go for Return. I forgot to equip Leftovers as well. So lots of mistakes, but I should be fine, right? Well, Tangela puts me to sleep, and so not only is it able to damage me a bunch, but it restores all its HP. I then miss with Thunder twice. So I go for Rain Dance to make sure I don't miss. It puts me back to sleep and goes for Bind. So we're done, right? Like we're at 30 HP. Nope, I was wrong. We're at 16 HP. So you can see Thunder was the right play, right? But Jumpluff, all right, Rain stopped. Okay, well, it misses. 4 HP, but we knock it out with Thunder. Now, Victory Bell, surely this is going to win. Not if I get a crit, but Blossom. Surely this isn't going to screw up. No, it goes for Solar Beam. And somehow, we were able to beat Erica out of that. Just, that's how bad the Kanto gym leaders are. Other than Blue. Blue is pretty good, and I actually lose to Blue. And this isn't entirely surprising. This time I did equip Leftovers because I'm not going to play this poorly. But the problem is Blue has Rhydon, and Rhydon, I mean, Double Kick does like nothing. It goes for Sandstorm, which is fine, and then it goes for Earthquake, which is much less fine. no crit needed. Sandstorm does an 1/8 instead of 1/16. I mention that a lot because it's just so shocking to me. But blue is where we're going to have to alter our moveset into something that I plan to do versus red anyway. Just like Substitute is so clutch in Fire Red Leaf Green, Curse is one of the best moves in Crystal version. And we're going to go for just one Curse for now. I don't need to go for too many because with the one Curse, we do a little bit more damage and we still outspeed. I may have needed to go for 2, but actually no, 1 was enough. We now 2-shot the Rhydon. Yes. And there we go. I mean, listen. Ooh, are we going to outspeed Alakazam? We should. So that was the thing with the one Curse. If you use too many Curses, your speed is lowered. And here we obviously could have used Pin Missile, but with Return and, funny enough, the Sandstorm, we're, oh, well, full restore, right, because there are 3 Pokemon that are all the same level. And Leech Seed's very annoying here, but we should be fine. Arcanine is next. I'm going to go for Thunder, and we one-shot. And now, finally, Gyarados, as long as we don't miss, which we don't. That is a second try victory versus blue. So we almost lost versus Erica, and then we did lose versus blue, which isn't surprising. But the big thing that will separate Jolteon for Umbreon or not is red. In many of my other runs, I have tried red and had to do some weird strategies and gone back and leveled up, which is very common. This is one of the most difficult regular battles in Pokemon history. I mean, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Red's even tougher, but you get what I mean. This is one of the toughest battles. Thankfully, Red does not have a ground Pokemon, but he does have good Pokemon. Let's see how Jolteon does. All right, so Red's first Pokemon is always Pikachu. And so I'm going to go for a Curse. It goes for Charm. And so now I'm +2 in defense. It actually keeps missing. So I'm +1 in attack, +3 in defense, which is enough to one-shot with Return. I still have lefties equipped. Psychic obviously doesn't care about my defense boosts, but a crit, very nice. Now against Snorlax, I go for Double Kick. Not bad, but not enough to 2-shot. It goes for Amnesia. It likely won't go for Rest. It goes for Body Slam. Not bad. I'm over half HP. Okay, so Venusaur, it goes for Solar Beam, but Return is not enough to 2-shot it, unfortunately. And even though I am going to knock out Venusaur, Charizard likely will knock me out with Flamethrower. That was really good for a first attempt, by the way. That was amazing, but we're going to have to be a little more in attack. If only Pikachu's Charm would have missed, we would have won right there and then. Thankfully, though, we don't even need that to happen, because here's what we're going to do. We go for Curse, hit with Thunder. We're hit with Thunder, and we're paralyzed. So we've lost, right? Well, not so fast. 3 Curses. I'm paralyzed. I'm still paralyzed. 4 Curses. Thunder is hitting all the while. 5 Curses. And 6 Curses. So, looks like we should lose, right? Well, Thunder's finally starting to miss. We're over half HP. Here's Espeon. It goes for Reflect. That's brutal. I mean, we don't even one-shot it with Return anymore. Psychic does a lot, but I still have 81 HP. Amnesia, however, is useless. Double Kick is going to 2-shot, and then Snorlax goes for Rest. This means that we're going to be able, because Snore will do nothing, we're going to be able to stall out the Reflect, which is fantastic. And now Venusaur will not be able to hit us at all. We one-shot it. And against Blastoise, I do have to go for Thunder, but it goes for Rain Dance. I would have gone for Return against Charizard. In fact, I might still. Nah, whatever. The Flamethrower is reduced by the Rain Dance, and the Thunder can't miss. And Jolteon in just, by the way, that was the 4th attempt. I got some bad luck earlier with Charm, but it was able to beat Red. And at 705 and level 70, it is just slightly better than Umbreon. I mean, ever so slightly. That's crazy. First of all, I didn't think Umbreon would be so good, but Jolteon and Umbreon being so close is nuts. I mean, are all the Eeveelutions going to be this neck and neck? Well, there was one I thought might do a lot better than the rest. And that one was the one my chat picked next, Vaporeon. Looking at its move pool, you may not immediately see why. Looking at its stats, you may not immediately see why. But remembering how this game goes, you'll know after just the 3rd gym badge, we get access to Surf, a base 95, 100 accurate move. Umbreon, there is no dark move that's like that, by the way. No dark type equivalent to Surf. There's Crunch and Dark Pulse, neither of which are as strong. And Jolteon, the money, by the way, was for Thunderbolt. In the end, we didn't need it, nor did we use it, but that's what I thought might happen. Vaporeon, however, gets its powerful same type move quickly and free. And not only that, looking at the move pool once again, we get an ice move. So Lance's dragon Pokemon that otherwise would be really miserable for Vaporeon could be a joke. There is a real chance that Vaporeon blows away the competition, but it is slow. And unlike Umbreon, until we get leftovers in Kanto, we don't have a way to heal ourselves. That said, like Jolteon, we get the very powerful base 110 special attack. But base 130 in HP, as good as that is, not the best stat to be our best, for sure. All in all, I think this is going to be a really interesting run. Let's see how it goes. We're going to start in Sprout Tower. Now, recall, it's been about an hour. Sprout Tower is mandatory in these runs because navigating without Flash is brutal. That said, there are a couple trainers here we can skip, and we haven't so far, but we will this time because, as you can see, Vaporeon really struggles against Bellsprout with Vine Whip. So, for that reason, Vaporeon will be at a slightly lower level for Faulkner, but I'm not sure if it's going to make a difference. Thus far, every single Pokemon has had the exact same base 65 attack and tackle, and Pidgey and Pidgeotto this time do not go for Mud Slap, which makes this battle really free. I just go for Tail Whip against Pidgeotto. Could have gone for 2. Didn't really matter. It took, 8 hits overall, I think it was? Anyway, we had plenty of HP to spare. Vaporeon is very bulky, so great there. That's one of 3 gym battles we have to do without Surf. Time for gym battle number 2, Bugsy. I actually start this at level 15 just because I thought we could go a little bit quicker, and that means it's going to take 3 hits for both Metapod and Kakuna. Unfortunately, I get poisoned, so I'm likely going to lose, but at level 16, we do get Water Gun. Now, if we weren't poisoned, I actually think we would have won, so sadly, because I already used my antidote, I need to go back and heal. But with that said, now we can use, well, I still have Swift, although I've battled the extra trainer with Paris, so we'll level up after Metapod, meaning Kakuna will have less opportunity to use Poison Sting, but it can still do it. Actually went for Harden. And now we have 66 HP for Scyther. It actually goes for Quick Attack, then Crit Fury Cutter. I get a crit, and then it goes for Quick Attack, which is fine. We're at level 17, and we've made it to Rival 2. Now, this will be one of the more difficult Rival 2 battles because, well, I mean, it takes 2 hits to knock out Ghastly, which we don't like. And then Bayleaf is just so bulky. So I'm going to go Tail Whip. Thankfully, it goes Poison Powder, and then I get a crit. It actually gets a crit, and that teaches me that, in fact, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I thought Razor Leaf would do far more, but Vaporeon is just so bulky that we actually have 28 HP remaining, and that is with getting crit by Razor Leaf, although it could have gone for Razor Leaf more. So take the good and the bad there. Win's a win. This will likely be the toughest gym battle against Whitney. I'm going to use Water Gun against Clefairy, and it goes for Synthesis. Then it goes for Double Slap. That did 20. And now I'm at 45. So 45 for Miltank's not great. I'm going to go Sand Attack after it goes for Rollout. But unfortunately, it hits with 3. And so Vaporeon's going to have to suffer a loss here. I'm going to need to do a little bit more damage against Clefairy, but Arrow Blast and then Sonic Boom. So I'm at 46 again. We do get the rollout from Miltank, and then we get, I don't know why I went for Tail Whip. That didn't make a difference. So yeah, Miltank has much better special defense than regular defense, but right now we're just not getting the luck we need, and Clefairy is doing so much damage every time. Actually, this time we have to reset on Clefairy. So I don't know if we're going to have to level up a little bit. I'll try a bit more, but this has been our worst Whitney battle yet. Finally, we make it to her with 55 HP. And we're going to try once again Sand Attack. I should probably teach Mud Slap. And then I'm going to go Tail Whip. Nope. I was going to do Tail Whip Swift. But Rollout just won't miss. And that is kind of the strat. Eventually it should. This time we get pretty good luck in that we have 70 HP. We still need that miss. So this time it just misses normally. Then I go Tail Whip Sand Attack. Then a second Sand Attack. And now, all right, well, looks like the Tail Whip strat was silly. But Stomp is starting to hit. It goes for Milk Drink and then I get a crit. Then Stomp flinches, but then it misses. And then it hits. So even when I get good luck, I get the bad luck. Although we did learn something valuable, that Tail Whip Swift is not as good as Water Gun. After all these losses, Vaporeon's going to have to come back. There are a couple trainers we can battle, literally a couple. Not sure if we showed this last time, but when you go into the underground section of the whole Team Rocket side quest, these two trainers are mandatory because, well, there's no other way to enter that door. So they're not super high level Pokemon, but we should level up at least once, maybe twice, probably just one. And even though one level really actually shouldn't have made that big a difference, we get, well, this case, we get some pretty clutch Poison Sting and Icy Wind Metronome, roll up miss turn one, and then I triple Sand Attack, and then I go for Tail Whip accidentally. But at this point, Miltank hits with one more Stomp, two more Stomps, but I get a critical hit. Thought I only hit with one. That was close. Vaporeon's HP kind of was very helpful. And I will say this, the level up allowed Clefairy to be a 3-hit instead of a 4-hit, so it did matter. Too bad I didn't see that beforehand. Could have saved a little bit of time going back and forth, but what can you do? And before people ask, in Crystal version, annoyingly, you have to do this section twice. I hate this section because look at all these optional trainers you have to skip, and I also battle this Venonat trainer because it's just quicker than having to go around National Park. But yeah, you have to go, it's Arnie, that's his name. But you have to go here, and then you talk to this person, and that's how you get the watering can, which you have to go back to Goldenrod. In Gold and Silver, you don't have to leave Goldenrod. I don't know why they made this change, but irritating, not a big deal though. There are no more trainers left to fight before the 5 Kimono Sisters, and now all we have to do is beat their Pokemon, and once that happens, we talk to this dude, and we have Surf, and this will make Vaporeon completely overpowered relative to the other Eeveelutions for a long while. There is nothing nearly this strong. I mean, I guess Return is. However, in a fast run, let's call it, because it's not really a speed run, we don't have time to max out our friendship, so it's probably only about 70-ish base power. And 2, it's not same type. When you do have a same type move that is 95 base power, we can one-shot Haunter, outspeed and one-shot Magnemite. Even with Bayleaf, going for Surf makes more sense. It's still a 3-shot though. Bayleaf's still pretty bulky. But then all that's left is Zubat, and another Surf knocks it out. Let's do that again versus Morty. So strat is simple. If we outspeed, we one-shot with Surf. We outspeed one-shot with Surf. We outspeed one-shot with Surf. We won't outspeed Gengar though. Hypnosis misses, and it's a 2-shot with Surf. Unfortunately, for the first time, it hits with Hypnosis, and then I'm asleep. It goes for Dream Eater, but I wake up really quickly, and that was pretty clutch because we have 2 Surfs remaining, 1 needed for Haunter, and yeah, that was pretty easy. However, the next gym leader, as you know, does have a Water-type Pokemon in Poliwrath. So we won't just be able to mindlessly use Surf anymore. Or will we? So I hope I outspeed Primeape. I don't think I do. And yeah, Karate Chop takes away 25. I also don't one-shot it, so I'm at 88 for Poliwrath. Now, I can learn Bite, which frankly is better than Tail Whip or Sand Attack. I'll get rid of Tail Whip because Sand Attack theoretically could be useful right here. Yep, Dynamic Punch just missed. And yeah, Surf is right. Hypnosis misses. Nice crit there. Dynamic Punch misses. All right. Well, that was not just use Surf and Pray. That was use Sand Attack, Surf and Pray, but that worked pretty well for me. Now, Surf, as we predicted, I mean, duh, is super overpowered. And by having Surf now, and by being just a little bit faster than a Magnemite, we actually can battle Jasmine right away as opposed to coming back to Olivine and battling her later. Doesn't save that much time, but it's different than the other 2 runs. And I mean, truth is, Price could be annoying, albeit not difficult. So yeah, we do outspeed Magnemite and we one-shot it. And then just the second Magnemite, now we're actually going to level up to 31. And Steelix, it is a one-shot. So 3 hits, 3 knockouts. Jasmine, for the first time, was a complete joke. After the first part of the Team Rocket section, we can battle Price. Here, I go for Bite, which with my good special attack will be a 3-shot versus Seal. Not great, but it can do very little to me. Looks like a 5-shot, no, a 4-shot versus Dugong. And actually with that crit, it didn't go for Rest, making this a much quicker battle than it otherwise should have been. Piloswine is ground type, so that one is easy. That's 7 gym badges down. And if Vaporeon was just any other normal Pokemon, normal as in like regular, not as a normal type, then we would have a problem coming up versus Claire. But Vaporeon is fantastic because not only does it get an amazing water move via HM, it gets a fantastic or a decent ice move via level up. And that means we're going to have super effective Aurora Beam for Claire. And I don't think she should be that difficult aside from Kingdra, but it's going to have to go for Hyper Beam, which sucks. First things first, I got the Never Melt Ice. Do we one-shot Dragonair? Yes, we do. And that means this is going to be an easy victory. Yep, that is 2 one-shots. And that is 3 one-shots. We can stick with Aurora Beam for Kingdra. It actually goes for Smoke Screen, and then another Smoke Screen. It misses twice. That's not a very likely outcome. Then it has to go for Dragon Breath, and easy 8 gym badges. Easy first try victory. But as always, it's going to be both the Elite Four and Red that is going to make the difference. That said, the Elite Four looks like it could be a breeze. Not a great matchup, but not terrible. Koga, same thing. Bruno, great matchup. And we have, I'm sure you've already seen it, but if you haven't, we have a strat for Karen. And Lance, we have Aurora Beam. Could this be a first try victory? I doubt it, but that would be super cool. First up, Will, and I doubt this will be a first try victory because I'm not even using the rare candies. I just want to see when to use them. I can Aurora Beam both Xatu and Executor. I'm shocked I one-shot the Executor. Oh, that was a bit of a tongue twister. I can use Bite on Jinx. We get a flinch and it's a 2-shot. We can also use Bite on Slowbro, but it's going to be a 3-shot after Amnesia. Psychic, though, doesn't do very much. We level up to level 48. And then I go for Aurora Beam against Xatu. Aurora Beam is 5 base power higher than Bite, which is why I went for it. And now we can face Koga. By the way, I anticipate it is Karen where I will have to use the rare candies. Koga Ariados, I go for Surf. It one-shots. Shocking. Venomoth, I go for Surf. It doesn't one-shot. That's unfortunate, and now I'm poisoned. Fortress goes for Protect. I'm hit with Poison. I go for Surf and knock it out. But here's where I think we're running into trouble. Muck, I go for Surf. It goes for Minimize. I then hit. All right, this could work. Crobat, I decide to go for Aurora Beam. It hits through the double team, but now Crobat will likely heal here. I do go for Aurora Beam again. Remember, Aurora Beam can't freeze. It can only lower attack. Oh, wait, we actually still won. Nice. Sick. So we have beaten Koga. That was actually pretty lucky, and I do have some full restores somewhere. There they are. And I probably should use the rare candies at this point because I just leveled up, but Bruno, okay, so the thing with Bruno is that his fighting Pokemon actually have really good special defense. So we will equip Mystic Water, which you get in Cherry Grove City. I mean, you need Surf. That's why most people don't get it, but 10%, it's not nothing. We go for Surf, and yeah, I should have used the rare candies. That was my bad. I go for Haze. That'll be the Karen strat, but all good. And then Mach Punch, Surf. Yeah, the rare candies would have been huge here. I'm a little upset with myself. I didn't use them. And yeah, I mean, we do one-shot it Hitmonlee, but that's because of the crit. Machamp, I go for Surf. It goes for Cross Chop. No crit. And we're actually going to make it to Karen. So now, if I were smart, I would just use the rare candies here. But Am I going to try and chance it without them? The answer is, let's see, do you use them, J-Rose? No, looks like I do not. I'm going to max Ether Surf, and I'm going to try to beat this as low a level as possible, but this is where I think the run will come to an abrupt end. Umbreon is first. I go for Surf. Actually, that did a lot. Sand Attack. I meant to go for Haze, and I actually hit through Confusion. Unfortunately, unlike in Gen 1, Haze won't take away my Confusion, but my accuracy is back to normal. Vileplume, I go for Aurora Beam, but it doesn't knock it out. Petal Dance does decent, but I'm still over half HP. Gengar actually outspeeds and goes for Lick, but we one-shot. Thankfully, it didn't go for Curse. Oh my god, we're gonna win. Of course we're gonna win. Because it doesn't have Bite, it has Crunch Houndoom. I mean, of course, we one-shot Murkrow. And then Houndoom, we actually just knock it out easy. Oh my god. Are we going to first try victory this? Are we going to first try victory this? I have an Elixir. I'm going to want to equip the Nevermelt Ice. We might. Should I just use rare candies here? I think I should. Come on. No, don't be greedy. Come on, use them. Yeah, there they are. No, I want a first try victory. Let's go. I love when past J-Rose makes the right decisions. I'm not going to teach Hydro Pump because Surf is better. And I use all my rare candies here. Can we first try victory the Elite Four? That would be amazing. I think we might. First up, though, is Gyarados. It always goes for Rain Dance turn 1. I go for Aurora Beam. Went for Hyper Beam. That's different. Well, luckily, it's going to be a 3-shot, and I have plenty of HP to spare. We outspeed and one-shot Dragonite. That's GG. We're going to outspeed and one-shot Dragonite number 2. Dragonite number 3, we may not one-shot it. We still do. And now Charizard comes out. Oh no, I didn't mean to go for Aurora Beam there, but that's okay. I switched to Surf. And now, even if this gets a critical hit Hyper Beam, which it didn't, it went for Hyper Beam though, we still knock it out. That is a first try victory. Elite Four. Vaporeon was fantastic. That said, things can all come crumbling down if we don't do well versus Red. And unlike the Elite Four, Red has both an electric Pokemon and a somewhat decent grass Pokemon. So this will not be nearly as easy. It should go without saying I first try victoried every one of the very easy Kanto gym leaders, even Blue, but that's not what matters. Let's see how quickly Vaporeon can beat one of the most difficult trainers in Pokemon history. I've said this a lot, but it's true. Red. Now, as we know, Red leads with Pikachu, which is not good. Thunder does a lot, and in this case, it paralyzes. Surf's enough to knock it out, and I do have leftovers. Venusaur comes out next. This isn't shocking. And how much does Aurora Beam do? Not half. And Solar Beam, actually, I tank that pretty darn well. However, when I get to a low enough HP, it will go for Giga Drain. Okay, so I need to change things up. I should have gotten Protect from the Celadon Mart. I forgot to do that, so I'm going to have to use Detect, which I got from Lake of Rage. They are the same thing, just Protect has way more power points. Okay, so let's try with Detect now. So Charm is great. Surf knocks it out. Here is why I want Detect. Oh no, it just went for Sunny Day. Why? Last time it didn't. It's so strange. Why would it go for Sunny Day this time? As you just saw and probably already know, once Sunny Day is used, Solar Beam becomes a 1-turn attack, 120 base power, and I noticed something interesting here. This time I get hit with Thunder, right? Well, now Venusaur is going for Solar Beam. So it seems to me that whether it goes for Sunny Day or Solar Beam depends on how much HP I have. Well, great news. Detect basically renders Solar Beam useless, and we make it by Venusaur. Now out comes Espeon. I go for Bite. It went for Reflect. Unfortunately, Bite is going to be a 3-shot. In fact, Surf did more. So Bite, useless. But here, what do we do versus Snorlax? I don't know why I went for Detect. Yeah, this is a problem. Our physical defense is not very good. And yeah, it used Amnesia, but we need a way to damage Snorlax. and we need a way to damage Snorlax while not taking too much damage from Snorlax. In the last 2 runs, we've used Curse, but also in those runs, we've had to use Return. We haven't had to do so far. And if we use Curse, what do we get rid of for Return? I mean, I can get rid of Bite, but do I get rid of Aurora Beam? How do I even do this? Well, this required a lot of figuring out, and it was not a quick process. Heck, as you see, I still haven't figured out the whole Solar Beam thing. By the way, the reason that happens is because if the AI has a move that it knows will knock you out, it will always go for it. And there are damage ranges. So like, for example, Solar Beam does between, I think, 230 and like 210 or something. I just made that up. But that means if you have 230 or less HP, it will only go for Solar Beam, which is super great. However, that means we actually do need to get hit by Thunder and not paralyzed, which is less great. The question is, now what do I do, right? So we've made it to Espeon, but now what, right? I actually forgot to teach Curse, and this time I go for Surf right away, but as you can see, it's just not a viable strat. I just take way too much damage from Body Slam, and don't forget this thing has Rest. Well, after trying various things out for a few minutes, we are going with a moveset that looks ridiculous because it is, but it is Surf and then Curse, which we use when Venusaur loads up the Solar Beam, then Detect. Then we have to go for Return right away, because if we don't, then watch here, Venusaur is going to go for Giga Drain, actually. It actually normally would go for Sunny Day. That's weird that it didn't. And then I have to double Protect because I have no idea what it's doing at this point. It's actually just completely acting... I don't know. Now it's going for Synthesis. I have no idea what it's doing, but thankfully we knock it out. We're only +1. This is the first time trying these Curse strats, and we're going to need something a bit more consistent than what just happened. But I'm going to use Detect to try and gain a little bit of HP back versus Espeon. And yeah, +1 attack and defense versus Snorlax. Now I'm +2. We still outsped. +3. We're still outspeeding. How's that happening? But it paralyzes me. I am +4. Now +5. And do I need +6? Oh, I'm paralyzed. You know what? Let's go Detect. Gain some HP back. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go for Return. And I'm still paralyzed. And I'm still paralyzed. And there we go. That's... oh, well, wasn't enough to knock it out. But Rest is fine. Rest is fine. This is all good. We do... actually, 6 might have been the play here. But it goes for Snore. We knock it out. And I think we're gaining all that back. All right. Now Blastoise goes for Surf. That does nothing. Yeah, +6 is the play here. But we should be fine. As long as Charizard doesn't crit, we just won. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's not like I came up with like the A strat or anything and it still worked, but wow, that's really annoying. And hold on, because if you want to see really annoying, here's a nice little montage for you. Crits with Snorlax, crits with Snorlax, suck really bad. By the way, only a 40% chance or so that we should be getting a crit even with all those curses. And yet it happened in 6 consecutive battles. Now at this point, I had an A plan and a B plan. So this is the B plan. Pikachu does not hit with Thunder. This means the battle is now a 50-50 try to get to Snorlax. We go for Curse, then Detect, and then Return. And if we do this, we are actually going to stall out the Sunny Day, but we need a double Detect, which is unfortunately a 50-50 chance. However, sometimes the A strat would happen where we get hit by Thunder and not paralyzed. Now, when this happens, in theory, Venusaur, if it cooperates, we can go for multiple curses. In practice, sometimes Venusaur would go for Sunny Day way earlier than it otherwise should, and so now I have to kind of adjust. Thankfully, I have a little bit of experience from the B plan, and I know that this is now a 50-50 chance of me winning. I just need a double Detect and I'm fine, which I get. So we had to do that anyway. Sun fades, and now we can go back to Curse Detect strats. Again, Protect would make this a little less with power points, but we're looking fine. At 197 HP, I decide it's time to knock out Venusaur with Return, and Espeon comes out. It goes for Reflect, which is fine, because Return and Surf will both be a 2-shot. Psychic hits, and now I'm at 159 HP, but I don't have to curse as much versus Snorlax, because this is the A plan. I only have to curse twice, and it doesn't crit in either, and, oh yeah, Reflect is up, so we don't knock it out. Right. But then it doesn't paralyze with Body Slam, we knock it out, and that is GG, I think. Blastoise, even if it crits, doesn't matter. Do we knock it out in one hit? No, but that's okay. Red can't actually heal because his ace is Pikachu, and Charizard, even if it crits, we win. It doesn't crit. This should have happened like an hour ago, but finally, at level 69, Vaporeon has beaten Pokemon Crystal. How long did it take it, though? This is going to shock you. 604. To put that in perspective, the only Pokemon we've done in this generation that is faster is Mewtwo. This is better than every other legendary Pokemon, which isn't surprising because they level up much faster, and Surf being same type ain't too bad either. For our purposes, that puts Vaporeon an hour ahead of Umbreon and Jolteon, and clearly in the number 1 spot. Now at this point, we have Flareon and Espeon left. And going into this run, I thought that Espeon would give Vaporeon a real run for its money, so I decided to go for what I thought would be the worst Eeveelution. Flareon, well, what are its problems? Well, looking at its stats, this is the first Eeveelution where its strongest attack is in an attacking stat, which is incredible. The problem is its physical attack. And prior to Gen 4, that means we can't take advantage of our fire moves. Not that we get amazing fire moves, because looking at our moveset, yikes. Like, super yikes. But we'll get back to that. Let's stick talking about the stats. Flareon is slow, decent special attack, but the stat distribution leaves a lot to be desired. Attack and Spadef being the 2 best stats, not exactly what you want to see. If it was attack and speed, I think Flareon could give Vaporeon a run for its money, but with that terrible base 65 speed, not so sure. And yes, the move pool. Not a lot to work with here. I mean, pretty much what every other Eeveelution's been working with so far, meaning we're going to have to go with Return and Headbutt. Eventually, we're going to have to use Curse, which seems like that's just an auto at this point. But we only get Ember and Flamethrower, not even Fire Blast, but Flamethrower, which arguably is better, at the Elite Four. So we're going to be using pretty much Ember and normal moves. That could be a big problem. And remember, just like with Jolteon, Falkner's flying Pokemon are going to have a field day using Mud Slap against the Fire-type Flareon. However, unlike Vaporeon, which struggled against Sprout Tower, we can actually battle one extra trainer in Sprout Tower in order to be at a slightly higher level. Will that make a difference? Honestly, maybe, because we 2-shot Pidgey. Now, part of that is having amazing base 130 attack. Against Pidgeotto, it actually goes for Gust instead of Mud Slap, and with the Tail Whip, we 2-shot it, so technically a 3-shot, but we had more than enough HP remaining, and we still had the Berry equipped. I didn't think that would be as easy as it was, but I guess having a metric ton of attack and a physical move helps early in the game. That said, for Bugsy, we're going to take advantage of our special attack, so I battle enough trainers to get to level 16, but it really didn't take that long to beat those trainers, nor did it take long to beat Bugsy. Unfortunately, Scyther took 1 extra attack, but because I got a burn, it was slightly quicker than actually attacking. This one was not shocking. This was the battle that Flareon, at least in theory, has the best matchup against, but as you know, Whitney likes to use rollout, so don't think it's going to go super well there. We still have Rival 2 first. We only have Mud Slap or Ember, so I'm just going to use Ember. I actually haven't taught Mud Slap yet. I don't know if I will teach it, but we have Swift. We've been using it every battle, and it only... Actually, by the way, that berry... I was going to say it only takes 3 hits, but that berry... Wow, it was a 1-hit on a Zubat. Nice! But that berry was from Falkner. That berry hadn't been used since Falkner. That's nuts. Now, normally I wouldn't mention this section, but unique to Flareon, once we go and get Farfetch'd, you talk to this guy and you get cut. We did this in every run, but I actually bought an escape rope so I can go back to their house and talk to his friend who will give me charcoal. Now, funny enough, you can actually buy charcoal, but it's very expensive. So it is much more reasonable simply to just get it for free. And now we get a modest but still noticeable 10% increase on our fire moves. We haven't really had that for many of our Pokemon. Vaporeon took advantage of Mystic Water, albeit later in the run. But honestly, both Black Glasses and Magnet were slightly out of my way, and I didn't think were worth it. I think here, because we're going to be stuck with Ember for a while, it might be worth it, at least in the short term. Moving on to Whitney, I'm going to battle these two trainers. I also went and got Headbutt this time. In some runs, the extra 10 base power won't make a huge difference, but to the 130 base power Flareon, well, I mean, we don't one-shot, so I guess that didn't go exactly how I thought, but it's a range. Anyway, we do want to get these battles out of the way first, even though it takes slightly more time, because Whitney could be extremely, extremely difficult. All right, so we're just going to go for Headbutt against Clefairy, and okay, well, one-shot's nice. We're level 20. Miltank, I'm going to go for Sand Attack. Ooh, nice rollout miss. And then Stomp miss. I went for Tail Whip, and now Stomp it. Ooh, that did a lot. Ooh, nice crit. Milk Drink. Well, I mean, that was some pretty great luck, but hey, that's another first try victory. We're 3 for 3 so far. I'll take it. Go Flareon. Actually, just think about it. We also got a crit against the Clefairy. I don't even want to know the odds of that battle happening again. Hopefully we didn't even need the crit against Clefairy, but that was pretty ridiculous. After beating the Kimonos, we battle Rival 3 in the Burnt Tower. Still, we're just going for Ember. I guess I should have gone for Mud Slap. We get really lucky Haunter didn't use Curse, because once that doesn't happen, I mean, we get a nice flinch. We get 2 nice flinches from Headbutt, and I was going to say we win anyway. Croconaw doesn't have a great water move. All it has is Water Gun. That's kind of why Bayleaf is so good. It has base 55 Razor Leaf. That's excellent with a high critical hit chance. Of course, Flareon would love to face Bayleaf, or even Quilava for that matter. So, of course, I made the rival take Croconaw. The rival in this game is not nearly as important as it would be in Gen 3, where originally I was going to do these runs. And so far, Flareon's done a really good job, but Morty, it doesn't have an amazing matchup against either. I don't have the Mint Berry because that would be out of my way, so I kind of have to hope for good luck. Ember doesn't one-shot, but it comes really close, and then we Mud Slap to knock out Ghastly. Thankfully, no Curse. Haunter doesn't use Curse either, just Nightshade. Now Gengar comes out, Hypnosis misses, I go for Mud Slap. Then it goes for Mean Look, I go for Ember. Then it goes for Shadow Ball. I come so close to knocking it out, but it goes for Hypnosis again. And with that Mud Slap, it misses, and that's the battle. With 30 HP, even if it goes for Nightshade, I have 7 to spare. Thus far, Flareon has not lost a single battle of any kind. Which is shocking, because that would make it the best Pokemon so far. I did not think that would be the case, but we're still really early in the run, right? Certainly Chuck will pose a problem with his Surfing Poliwrath. I go for Headbutt against Primeape, it does a ton. Leer isn't great. Now, I'm expecting Surf, right? But I get Dynamic Punch, and it misses. Then I get Mind Reader, which would make the next move hit, but there's not going to be a next move. It's a 3-hit KO with Headbutt. If you're still watching the video, thank you, you're the best. But also, when I say that the first couple generations really aren't as good as later games, in like some sort of objective sense, this is kind of what I'm talking about. The AI is miles better than Gen 1, but still makes really strange decisions, like not going for Surf, even though it's a more reliable move and it's super effective. I think because neither move would knock it out, and maybe even Dynamic Punch with the Leer would do more, but it just seems like really weird decision making. Later Pokemon games are far less forgiving in that sense. And I mean, listen, Flareon's doing pretty well, but we probably should have lost at some point, right? Well, that point isn't going to be Jasmine, because, I mean, we can just use Ember on her Magnemite, and you can see I've battled no trainers since Chuck. And Ember with the Charcoal is potentially a 2-shot against Steelix. we get a 3-shot, but since Steelix doesn't know any ground moves, Flareon basically resists its best move, which is so strange. I mean, yes, Flareon being fire type makes it super effective, but you would think Steelix would be tough, but not in this game. Another trainer who you think might be tough but isn't is Price. I mean, technically Price is the ice type gym leader, so in theory Flareon should be great, but Price also has 2 water type Pokemon that don't know any water moves. Still, maybe we'll pose a challenge? We have Headbutt versus Seal. I should have gone Return, but Icy Wind doesn't even lower my speed. And then I'm going to go for Headbutt against Dugong. I get another crit, making it a 2-shot, and you can see it also went for Headbutt. And then Ember against Piloswine. It's a ground type that doesn't have ground moves. There's a lot of weird stuff in Generation 2, and I don't plan on spending the rest of the Flareon run harping on it, but realistically, there is no way, based on the Pokemon we faced, Flareon should be this good. I mean, right now, I think it is the fastest Eeveelution, which is absurd. I mean, great base attack, but Ember, not even Flamethrower, and Headbutt. I haven't even gone Return yet, but we're going to get that pretty soon. In fact, we're going to go and beat the Team Rocket section with Return. Nothing was difficult, as per usual. And will Claire, with her Dragon Pokemon, finally pose a challenge? Kingdra does have Surf. Well, the biggest thing is, can we outspeed and one-shot Dragonair? Yeah, we do. So that's huge, because we won't be paralyzed. Kingdra comes out second and does go for Surf, but Return does so much damage, we're able to 2-shot it, and since we one-shot the Dragonair, we win. Now, this actually is one where I give Flareon credit. It is fast enough and strong enough to one-shot the Dragonair without taking any hits. If it were able to get attacked, or if it were paralyzed, that would have been really bad, but Dragonair is slow enough, Flareon is fast enough, and Flareon has good enough attack that I think that win versus Claire was pretty legit and shows the strengths of Flareon. We've also, for the first time in this challenge, gone through the entirety of the Johto region, minus the Elite Four, of course, without losing. This can't possibly continue for the rest of the game, right? First up is Will, and I actually make a mistake here. I should have taught Shadow Ball, because why do I even have Bite? Anyway, it was actually enough with Return to win. Spoiler alert, I guess. In fact, I actually could switch to Flamethrower, which, because I'm at level 53, thanks Rare Candies, we now have Flamethrower, which is going to be super useful versus 2 of Will's Pokemon, Jinx and Exeggutor, but even more useful against one of the most annoying Pokemon, at least for Umbreon. Remember that? The Forretress. Now we can Flamethrower Ariados, we're at level 54 now, and we one-shot Forretress, no Protect is nice. Muck, I'm going to go for Return, and wow, that does so much. I go for Bite just to conserve power points, and then Crobat does outspeed and goes for Double Team, and it's going to heal here. So I might want to do things a little differently. Ooh, it does the same, both Return and Flamethrower. That's pretty cool. And Flamethrower will one-shot Venomoth. So we have made it to Bruno, undefeated. But unironically, Bruno in this game will be difficult. Earthquake and Rock Slide are... Actually, the Rock Slide isn't the Onix, by the way. Earthquake is Onix. Rock Slide is Machamp. And we're going to have to heal here. The other issue is that I need to use Return. Well, it's not an issue. It's just a fact. I'm going to use Return because Bruno's Pokemon have much higher special defense than regular defense. So let's see if it one-shots. If not, we know Hitmontop's going for Dig, but we do. I do have Pink Bow equipped, so that might help. Now, I miss with Iron Tail versus Onix, but thankfully it goes for Sandstorm, although that might actually be a problem. Iron Tail has a 25% chance to miss, so it's pretty brutal. I decide to go for Return against Machamp. It doesn't one-shot, but Rock Slide misses. That was pretty lucky. Return then one-shots both Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, albeit with assistance of Sandstorm, maybe, and a crit. So, I don't know. But we have made it now to Karen without losing. Great. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to equip the Paralysis Cure Berry in case Vileplume is annoying. That might be a mistake, but let's see what happens. Umbreon loves to go for Sand Attack. We don't one-shot, but Sand Attack misses. Guys, we're getting to Lance. We're getting to Lance. We outspeed in Shadow Ball Gengar because we're 10 levels higher. Murkrow, we outspeed in Return. Now all that's left is Houndoom, who we outspeed and one-shot. And now all that's left is the Vileplume, who we're going to outspeed and one-shot with Flamethrower. Wow. I can't believe we're doing this well. Holy moly. But Lance could be difficult. We're going to equip the Paralysis Cure Berry. The big thing I worry about is Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl actually gets rock moves that it shouldn't know in this game. And that could be really problematic for Flareon. If we lose, definitely we don't have to feel bad. But it would be insane to sweep the whole game to red. All right, so Return doesn't one-shot Gyarados, but Rain Dance is useless. So that's good. Now here comes Aerodactyl. Do we hit? Well, it outspeeds, and we do. Do we win, though? All depends on this. We're going to go for Return. Hyper Beam. Where was Thunder Wave? Oh, that sucks. And now, Hyper Beam missed. Okay, maybe. Do we one-shot? No, so close, man. So close. We would have had to have gotten a crit on the last Dragonite. That's pretty good. In my very next attempt, I make it all the way back to Lance. And here, the most annoying thing happens. So we'll knock out Gyarados, that's fine. And we don't miss with Iron Tail. That's great. Spoiler alert for something. And I don't have the Paralysis Cure Berry because it's not going to go for Thunder Wave, right? But it does this time. I don't know why it didn't before. I thought Pink Bow would be helpful against Charizard, but thinking back, what was really the plan there? Other than Hyper Beam missing, we're not going to tank multiple Hyper Beams, and the other Dragonite knows Outrage, which can't miss. So, in reality, this strat actually doesn't work. We're going to need to do something else, but what? Well, my third run, I make it to Lance again. Great sign for Flareon, but still not really sure what I'm doing. And unfortunately, here is what can happen a lot. Iron Tail can miss, but don't worry, I'm sure it will miss just that one time. I mean, it's only 30%. It's not going to miss like half the time, will it? Unfortunately, I wouldn't get to find out so quickly because remember how in the Karen battle I showed you Sand Attack missed? That's only a 25% chance. It can hit. And we're fine so long as we don't miss against Gengar because it goes for Curse. And then sadly, if things don't go our way, even with Curse we can win, but if things really don't go our way, we can lose to Karen. So pretty lucky for her to win, but yeah, that's a loss. But Karen's not the only trainer who could potentially beat us. I was having issues with Bruno. Now, that Flamethrower was a mistake. I meant to go for Return, but don't worry about it. I'm going to lose for a different reason. Flamethrower one-shot the one time I used against Onix, but as I would find out, that actually was a 1 in 16 chance. Now, if it were a 16 in 16 chance, obviously that is much preferable to, well, a move you're going to see miss a whole bunch, spoiler alert. So I'd like to avoid using it, but yeah, unfortunately, it seems like it's going to be a little bit of RNG regardless. It won't be, I'll explain why, but I thought it might be at this point. And just for good measure, we also lost to Koga. So after making it to Lance in 3 straight attempts, we get some pretty brutal luck and failed to make it to Lance in 3 straight attempts. Our win percentage is really going down here. But in our 4th attempt, we make it to Lance. This is our 4th time versus Lance. And I'm going to go for the Paralysis Cure Berry strats because it will waste the first Dragonite's turn, maybe the second one misses. It could be good. Unfortunately, Rock Slide has a 30% chance to flinch, and it's always a 2-shot. So now we're 0 for 2 with Iron Tail actually hitting, although one of those times was because of flinch. Thankfully, in our 5th attempt, I make it right back to Lance, and everything's looking good. Gyarados is always going to be the same, and then we don't get the flinch, and we don't get the miss from Iron Tail. By the way, Rock Slide can miss. And then we get exactly what I want. Thunder Wave, Paralysis Cure Berry, we knock out first Dragonite. And then second Dragonite, it goes for Thunder Wave and misses. This is the perfect luck. Unfortunately, Charizard isn't a one-shot, and with 57 HP, the Hyper Beam from the final Dragonite does just enough to knock me out. Which means I'm gonna have to use a better strategy. I wanted to see if this would work, and it's really close to working, but there's something I can do that will make it work really well. I actually kind of mentioned it earlier. I mentioned that getting this was slightly out of my way, although I was talking about Morty's hypnosis. That's right, we're going to be healing by using Rest and Minceberry. Not only could this heal a potential paralysis, say that 5 times fast, but in theory, if Dragonite doesn't knock me out with Hyper Beam, which is what happened the very first battle, imagine if we had Resto Chesto or Resto Mint, we would have won. And I was thinking this the whole time. I was trying to see if I could avoid the time loss getting the Mint Berry. Sadly, I couldn't, so we're gonna go get it. And yes, I did already get Rest, I just forgot the Mint Berry. Unfortunately, there is still something else that can go very wrong. Very, very wrong. Even if we get a crit against Gyarados, which really doesn't matter, Rock Slide hits, and oh, there's number 2, Iron Tail miss. Great. I mentioned I would tell you what the consistent Bruno strat was, so here's the interesting thing. Hitmontop is about a 50-50 chance to one-shot. If you don't, it's fine. Unfortunately, Onix is, I would say, a 75% chance with Charcoal to one-shot with Flamethrower. You need to one-shot one of the 2 of them, which I think is about 90% likely. And yes, Machamp is going to hit us, but it can't flinch us because we're faster. And Hitmonchan is going to hit us, but we actually have not 1, but 2 Mach Punches we could potentially take. So we should win almost every single time to Bruno from now on. Additionally, because Umbreon is more threatening than Vileplume in this run, we're going to equip Bitterberry. I wish we could equip White Herb, that would be even better. But sadly, that's not a thing in this game yet. Alright, so we made it to Lance. We have a strat, it's gonna work, everything is amazing. I can't wait to win here. I'm sure we're not gonna get flinched. Oh, well that stinks. But that's okay, after we just talked about it, ridiculously unlikely Bruno loss, we're right back at Lance. We just need a 70% chance to hit. Everything is fine. No, it misses. Alright, hey, we've made it right back. That's great. Now we just need... Oh, I forgot to teach Iron Tail. Wonderful. I can't believe I just did that. Oh, Rock... there it misses, of course. But funny enough, we get the flinch the next turn. But yeah, of course, that time it misses. So I would have won, but I forgot to teach Iron Tail because... I don't know, I have so many things I gotta remember to do. It's so annoying, but that one's my fault. This is our 10th battle versus Lance. It should not have taken this long. But finally here, we're going to get Aerodactyl hitting, which it should do, and then we hit, and now we just need some okay-ish luck. We go for return, Hyper Beam, but we tank it. We learned that from last time. Resto, Chesto, or Mint, but it has to recharge, meaning we're at full health. Now we might get paralyzed here. I hope we don't. And, oh, it missed. Okay, that was great. If we did, I could have just rested against Charizard, but I don't have to even worry, because look how little Slash does. And now we should be fine. In fact, the final Dragonite goes for Safeguard, and it's a 2-shot, so even though Lance heals, it was annoying. We got brutal luck with Iron Tail, but finally... with a pretty good strategy, by the way. I don't often use Resto Mint. It's not actually usually a great strat, but since Hyper Beam requires the recharge, it was the perfect time to use it. And Flareon makes it through the Elite Four very quickly in in-game time. Very quickly in in-game time. However, the big test is going to be Red. Red can be very, very difficult. With our really good attack, Curse strats seem like they'd be overpowered. Sadly, you'd be wrong. I didn't know that yet, though, so against Blue, I didn't go for Curse right away. I like to keep my moves as they are, but just as in other runs, Rhydon can be really frustrating. So I hadn't used Rest in a while. I didn't think I would use Rest, so I deleted it for Curse. This proved to be a massive, massive mistake, maybe. And although it would make Blue pretty easy by using a Curse and then knocking out Rhydon in one hit, it potentially took away a strat versus Red that I didn't think I would need or use. And maybe I wouldn't have. But it's hard to know. Alright, so let's talk about Red a little bit. My initial strat was Return, Protect, I bought it this time, Curse, and Flamethrower. Unfortunately, Pikachu really wasn't cooperating with me, so I had to reset. Now, I kind of wanted to see what would happen if I just went for return. Pikachu did hit with Thunder, but that's okay. Espeon comes out second. Now, I didn't think that it would. I thought Blastoise would, and this is a bit of a problem because Espeon, it just goes for Psychic, and there's very little I can do. I wanted to see if I could maybe set up some curses in order to knock out the Espeon quicker. And in this battle, that's exactly what I do. However, if I use too many curses, Blastoise is going to outspeed me and easily one-shot me with Surf. And this puts me in a pretty awkward position. My strat going in was to use a bunch of curses versus Pikachu and then knock out Blastoise and then try to sweep through everything else. That's where Rest may have come in, by the way. But that's not going to work, because if Espeon comes out second and lowers my HP to the point where Blastoise one-shots pretty much at any time, because I knew it wouldn't one-shot me from full. I have pretty good special defense. But if I'm at 3/4 or less, I'm going to lose. And I'm going to be real with you guys, I really just had no ideas. I mean, as you can see from these runs, I'm making it 2 Blastoise pretty easily, in fact. But getting past Blastoise, that's a problem. And even if we did get past Blastoise, what would happen next? Well, let me show you this battle. So what I decide to do here is, you can see I've taught Zap Cannon. Why in the world Flareon can learn Zap Cannon, I have no idea. In case Espeon goes for Reflect, I went for Flamethrower, but it didn't. Now here is my awful strat that I shouldn't use and will not work. I can go for Zap Cannon and either get a crit. Zap Cannon will always paralyze, but, and this is a big but, here are the odds. Actually, let me just show you why this doesn't work. We knocked out Blastoise for the very first time, and this is how much damage. I actually went for Curse, and Body Slam still knocked me out. But getting back to the absurdity of doing that, Zap Cannon is a 50-50, so it has to hit twice, which is a 25% chance of happening, and then you can basically divide that by 3. So if my math is pretty terrible, which it is, that would give me an 8% chance to get past Blastoise, just to lose to Snorlax. I mean, we got the 8% chance. And then what? I don't have any curses set up. I can't set up curses against Espeon or Blastoise or Pikachu, right? What do I even do? And this isn't just a, what do I do? Oh no, I'm gonna have to leave. Like, I don't even think, other than leveling up to like level 80, I'm not like one-shotting things. There are no other moves. And the truth is, how could I even use Rest? I couldn't use a Mint Berry. The Leftovers recovery is actually pretty good. So I really just could not for the life of me figure things out, so I just kept battling. About 90% of the battles, I would reset against Pikachu because I wanted to set up a bunch of curses, but Pikachu either paralyzed me with Thunder, or knocked my HP too low, or used Charm. I could not figure out what I even potentially could do. Well, I spent half an hour resetting against mostly Pikachu and Espeon, and I did start to figure a little some things out. So first thing I figured out, if Pikachu goes for Charm, you just reset. But if it goes for Thunder, you want to miss, but it's fine if it doesn't miss. Still, like I said, Charm, we got to reset. So I'm getting a lot of resets in, 3 in a row. That's okay. I had a plan in mind. I just don't know if it actually will work. So here we get a Charm miss, then a Thunder miss. That's 2 curses. Thunder miss again, 3 curses. Thunder hit, that's okay, 4 curses. I can now stall with Protect. I'm at 154. And now I'm going to go for a 5th curse. Another Thunder miss. That is 3 Thunder misses. I go for Protect to gain a little bit more. And that is 2 of 5 Thunders hitting. Pretty good. Now Espeon, we're at 121. I go for Protect for a little bit more HP. It goes for Reflect. What if I told you that just won me the game? How? You have Blastoise. We're going to go for Protect, and we're at 157. And remember how I said the AI makes really weird decisions? Well, we used a damage calculator and figured out the max damage it could do is 155. Since I'm at 157, it's going to go for Rain Dance, meaning I'm going to go for Sunny Day. And for a very strange reason I cannot figure out, it now is going to go for Surf, which is severely reduced, And even though Reflect is up, and I'll admit, the lucky part was that it just happened to work out that 5 curses can 2-shot a Blastoise behind Reflect. I'm still gonna stall because I want Reflect to fade. It went for Rain Dance and the game is over. I actually think I'd one-shot Snorlax anyway, but it goes for Amnesia. We do one-shot the Snorlax. Charizard comes out. It can't do anything to me. Even a crit wouldn't be that bad. And of course it went for Flamethrower. And finally, Venusaur goes for Giga Drain. I just go for Return, and that might seem pretty lucky, because it was. I think it's about a 4% chance for that to work, give or take. Oh yeah, by the way, in case you were wondering, how does Flareon compare to the rest of the Eeveelutions? You know, the point of this video? 605, 69. If you're thinking, doesn't that sound like the exact same as Vaporeon? You'd be wrong, dummy. But by 1 minute, same level, Flareon was 1 minute slower. Guys, that's insane. I don't care who wins at this point. The fact Flareon, I thought, would by far be the worst, and ended up being one of the fastest Pokemon, faster than most legendary Pokemon, is just insanity. Sadly, I do have to admit, to get this win, we needed a 4% chance. Actually, I don't think we needed exactly 4%. There were other pathways. I think we calced it out at about 8 to 10%. There were various pathways to victory. Usually, I like 25%. But hey, a win's a win, right? In terms of real time, because of the shenanigans with Lance and Red, it actually took one of the longest. But Lance was kind of being weird. And in terms of Red, I did end up coming up with a strategy. Did it rely on some Thunder Misses? Yes, but here's the thing. The truth is, resetting against the first Pokemon is actually not so bad. Where it gets really tedious is when the luck component comes in the middle, or heavens forbid, at the end of the battle. In our case, as soon as we got by Pikachu, we had a pretty good chance to win, and once Espeon used Reflect, it was over. It seems to be 50-50 going for Reflect or Psychic, so maybe it is just a 4 to 5% chance. That's not great, but hey, that's why we're putting Flareon in second. I think Vaporeon deserves the win because a little iffy at the end, but you know, Flareon, I'm impressed. But the one you've all probably been waiting for. Psychic types are overpowered. Espeon is known to be one of the best Pokemon in early generations. It's going to struggle versus Karen. Maybe. I don't even know. But it's going to mop the floor with other trainers. If anything can unseat Vaporeon, it's Espeon. But if it doesn't, that would be shocking too. Maybe it's the slowest. Let's find out. All right, let's end our Odyssey by starting the Espeon run. So right off the bat, Espeon is a lot like Flareon, but in some ways even better. Because while Flareon was slow, Espeon gets arguably the best stat distribution. The 110 in speed, and the best stat 130 in an attacking stat, special attack. While you might think Espeon's worst stat would be its attack, like every other Eeveelution other than Flareon, it has the same base 65 attack. Its worst stat is its defense, actually just like Flareon. But unlike Flareon, it has an amazing move pool. It might take a second to get the moves, but we're going to get via level up Psychic, Psybeam, Confusion, a healing move in Morning Sun. In terms of moves we can learn via level up, that's actually not amazing, but Psychic is so overpowered in these earlier gens, it should make up for it, right? Well, we're not going to have those moves for Falconer, and this did prove to be a bit of a unique problem for Espeon. Well, I should say semi-unique, because in theory, Jolteon had the same problem, where they're just really, really weak defensively, and so I ran out of potions to use, meaning I had to heal, which doesn't waste a lot of time, but it's something I noticed. And unlike Jolteon, by the way, Espeon doesn't have any resistance to Falconer. That said, it is still going to be another first try victory. This is unsurprising. If I skipped Sprout Tower, these trainers would be more difficult, but thankfully, Heart Gold Soul Silver doesn't, and I like having Flash. So, man, I realized that after 2 hours, as well as I try to map this out, I still end up repeating myself, so I'm going to skip ahead. I feel bad that I'm not giving these later Eeveelutions the same amount of love, but a lot of the stuff is going to be covered in, the 4 previous parts. For the record, I don't ever plan to do a 5-part video again, but let me finish this one up. I battled enough extra trainers, not that many, but enough that I would hit level 16 for Bugsy. This has been a constant battle, should we, shouldn't we? But as you can see with Fury Cutter, actually that crit was pretty clutch. It was important for Espeon to have Confusion, and now we're taking advantage of its gargantuan 130 special attack we just talked about. And one interesting thing is Confusion, because Psychic doesn't have a 40 base power move, it is stronger than every other move all our other Pokemon have gotten, which is pretty good. So now I just have to go and buy repels. I buy 10 or 11 of them, doesn't really matter. Depends on how efficient I am with my walking. We should be fine against Rival 2. I mean, there's nothing here that's that scary, since he doesn't have the Magnemite yet. That'll come later. Here we just go 1 Confusion, and then 2 Confusions. I'm surprised Zubat came out, but I guess because of Bite. And then 3 Confusions, we get Water Gun and Rage. Yeah, we're fine. But now we battle Whitney, and Whitney's Miltank has really good special defense. Still, she's been easier than I've thought in every single other part of this video, so surely we'll be fine, right? We get Confusion Flail, we're down 10 HP, but that's okay. I go Confusion, doesn't do that much. Rolla hits a couple times, I have Berry. We do just enough damage, and oh, we're fine. Yep. Once again, Whitney's pretty easy. I was worried for a second I was about to jinx it, but nope. Still, Espeon hasn't suffered a loss yet, so we're right there with Flareon, and we haven't even gotten our best moves yet, so looking like Espeon's gonna be number 1. Rival 3 is next. I don't foresee him being that difficult. Confusion will easily one-shot Haunter, and then Croconaut's gonna take a few hits, but we tank the bites pretty well, and now we don't need Quick Attack, so we'll just not teach that. Magnemite resists, but we do confuse it. Oh, wait. No. Oh, thank goodness. That actually would have won. Wow. Okay, well, not a great sign, but still no losses. We're good. And Morty, even though in theory, Morty has a good matchup versus Espeon, in practice, because of the poison typing of the ghost Pokemon, it's an awful matchup for Morty. I predict only 5 Confusions will be needed. There's 1 against Ghastly, and don't forget, we're super fast too. Haunter, another one. We level up to level 26. Gengar, it's not going to go for Hypnosis. It goes for Shadow Ball, and that did a lot, but since Shadow Ball is a physical move, doesn't do... Well, I guess it takes advantage of our worst defense, but yeah, we're still fine. And the next gym leader is again weak to Psychic moves, so I'm expecting another pretty uneventful first try victory. Alright, so we face Primeape. No Psybeam yet, but don't need it to one-shot Primeape, and then Poliwrath. It's going to be a 2-shot. Oh, puts me to sleep. That's alright. Surf. We'll be fine. Just wake up. Oh. Alright, well, that was unexpected, but just some bad luck there. I mean, it was cooler to say this thing wouldn't lose. Wait, didn't even one-shot Primeape there. Oh, well. Okay, is this gonna work? Alright, it's even confused. Okay, fine. I mean, losing there is annoying, but we're still doing fairly well. Won't be perfect, but good enough, right? Well, I was a little worried about Jasmine, so I did the Team Rocket section and thus battled Price first. We have still Confusion, but crit knocks out Seal in 1 hit. And then it's going to be a 3-hit for Dugong. Thankfully, it doesn't rest. And we have a nice amount of health for Piloswine. It's going to be a 3-shot. Fury Attack is fine, and then Blizzard is fine. Oh, I shouldn't have gone for Swift there, but that's fine. We should still... Wait, I lost! I lost! Whoa! Okay. I mean, yeah, I just ran out of health. Interesting. Well, let's just try that again. Confusion hit itself in Confusion, so still no damage from Seal. And then we'll go Confusion, Aurora Beam crit. Confusion, Aurora Beam. Okay. And then we'll go Confusion, Fury Attack. Alright, we need to 2-shot it. Oh, went for Hyper Potion now. Oh, okay. Huh. Is there like an item I can equip? So Twisted Spoon actually can only be got via trade. So that's not an option. But, okay, Icy Wind, my speed actually isn't a problem, but that's 6 HP down. Alright, there's a crit. That probably wins us the game, right? I mean, Confusion, oh, there's another crit. And, okay, well, we won, but... Yeah, that didn't go super great. That went really poorly, actually. We needed quite a bit of luck to beat Price. And Price wasn't the one I was worried about. Jasmine is going to be tough. I can go for Confusion. It's not even a two-shot. That's a bit of a problem. I mean, I have a Paralysis Cure Berry I can equip. I don't have any moves. Like, I could teach Mud Slap instead of Sand Attack. And potentially that could help both by maybe making it a two-shot, as well as potentially making Thunder Wave miss. Okay. It's starting to look a little dicey. Mud Slap. Okay, actually felt Thunderbolt is fine, in theory. And then we go Mud Slap here. Oh, perfect. Okay. So Steelix has pretty low special defense. I'm going to go Mud Slap. Wow, yeah. I mean, Iron Tail is pretty strong, but we've confused it, but it still hits. Yeah, what am I going to do here? So, while I battle Jasmine, let's talk about why Espeon is having the uniquely worst time. Umbreon had the defense and HP. Jolteon had the resistance. Flareon and Vaporeon had the super effective moves. Espeon, as Bizarro Miley Cyrus would say, I don't know, let's call her Anna Idaho. Anna Idaho would say this is the worst of both worlds. And it really is. And I don't really know what to do. Like, should I battle extra trainers? That would waste time. And, I mean, how much XP would I even get? Not enough to even level up to 35 if I battle this sailor guy. I mean, there's some trainers here, but is that fast? There's also some trainers... Okay, get out of my way. There's some trainers here I could battle. I mean, maybe... Okay, and Tentacool, but, like, how much experience does this give? This is kind of slow, too. I don't see other than leveling up any other way, and how much XP... Like, I'm not getting enough. I need to think about this. How do... I don't have any moves. There's nothing I could use. There's nothing I could really do. I'm just thinking, guys. This is actually... I didn't really anticipate how bad Espeon would be. At level 36, we get Psybeam. So that is something to think about. But look how much time I'm wasting. Like, is this really necessary? Is this the efficient strategy? The answer is no. So I'm going to reset, and I realize I have 2 rare candies. Using them early is not the best thing to do, but at this point, it is by far the fastest thing to do. So we're going to delete Confusion for Psybeam. We're going to save here, and that is going to make a bunch of things a little bit more consistent. We are going to confuse less, though. Psybeam has a lower chance of confusing. So, oh, I forgot to equip the Paralysis Cure Berry. All right, sorry. I talked to her again. That happens sometimes. I just mash A. So let's give the Paralysis Cure Berry, and wow, good job, J-Rose. Nice save there. Literal saving the game. And so let's try and battle Jasmine now. So we're going to go Mud Slap. Thunder Wave misses. Perfect. That means we have at least an attempt versus Steelix. Mud Slap, Thunder Wave, Paralysis Cure Berry eaten. And now I think we'll go 1 Mud Slap. Iron Tail misses. And then Psybeam, that does more. And okay, we actually should be... Oh, crit, but we're fine. Level 36 clearly made a huge difference. We would not have tanked that crit if we weren't level 36, but Espeon has struggled more than I thought against both Price and even Jasmine. But I guess being basically just a psychic attacker, and if we could just show the TM moves it learns on screen again, nothing's really a special attack. Like in later games Shadow Ball is, but this is actually a really important flaw Espeon has. Like the moves the Eeveelutions get in this generation are all physical attacks, which Flareon took advantage of. But Espeon, when it can't use a psychic move, yeah, it has to use its terrible physical attack. And it doesn't really have anything interesting or something you wouldn't expect. I mean, I guess Zap Cannon, we're not going to use that. And we should be fine. It's not like we have to face a dark Pokemon that soon. Oh, wait, we do. Rival 4, halfway into the Team Rocket section, we do. And we're going to have to just use Return. I mean, there's no other option. Actually, I forgot to get Return, so we have to use Swift. But for now, things were fine. I beat Rival 4. But I'm probably going to need Return by the time I battle the final Rocket admin. I forget the name in Heart Gold Soul Silver. He doesn't get a name in this game. Heck, he doesn't even get a unique overworld sprite. But now we're going to have to use Return. And it's enough to one-shot Houndour. Not Houndoom, but it's still using Feint Attack, not Crunch. So for now, we're okay. But this is something, a bit of a preview for Karen. Actually, funny enough, it's a preview for Karen in more ways than one, but I don't want to spoil anything. I have an idea. Now to battle the trainer whose name I always mix up with Karen's, and I don't know why, Claire. Don't know why I do it. I also spell her name wrong in the timesheet. I always put an E there. But even worse than that, I didn't intend to make the pun, but it worked. I don't one-shot Dragonair, which is a big problem. It does get confused and miss with Thunder Wave, which is good, but not one-shotting is a problem. Although if they're going to keep missing, we're going to be fine. Okay, it actually can one-shot, but it's a range. And now Kingdra, okay, we actually will be fine, right? Smokescreen will be fine, right? Okay, we'll be fine. Okay, great. So we beat Claire. I mean, didn't like that I needed some accuracy and didn't like that I wasn't one-shotting. Again, wish I could get Twisted Spoon, but it's one of the few items. Some of them are out of the way and require the Day of the Week siblings, but Twisted Spoon is the exception. You may think it's in the game because it is in Heart Gold Soul Silver, but in Gold Silver Crystal, you need to trade a Gen 1 Kadabra. Not just any Gen 1 Kadabra. It must be a Kadabra caught from the wild, specifically in Pokemon Yellow version. At least that's what Bulbapedia is telling me. I'm not going to go and check if you evolve an Abra into Kadabra if it works or not, but I have a feeling it doesn't for some reason. I just don't feel like setting up all the games, Pokemon Stadium. It'll take a while. We'll figure that out another time. Someone remind me. I'll check next time I stream. 2.5 hours into a video is not the time to go off on a tangent. That said, this video is finally, and for my sake, mercifully, headed towards its end as we fight the Elite Four for not the final time, but we begin the Elite Four for the final time. Now, neither I nor Will have a good matchup against each other, and I could use Shadow Ball, but this is way more fun and actually faster. What we're going to do is we're going to hit Xatu with Swagger and then use Psych Up. Now, Psych Up is not a very common move, but it copies the opponent's stat changes. Since Xatu is very low attack and it just has quick attack, it's easy to do. Now, the mistake I made is I should have a Bitter Berry. I forgot to equip it, but I'll do that next time, if there is a next time. And in theory, I could use 2 Swaggers to sweep Executor and Slowbro, but I found that to be unnecessary, and so just 1 Swagger will do. The next trainer is Koga, and while in the beginning I'll equip the Poison Cure Berry, I don't think we're going to need to use it. Since we have Psychic, we one-shot Ariados, even Forretress is going to be a 2-shot. Now, I do have to worry a little bit about power points, but I have enough Ethers and Elixirs. It is the disadvantage of using a move that only has 10 power points like Psychic, but we outspeed and one-shot everything. I don't think that's going to change with Bruno. We outspeed and one-shot 1, 2, 3. What's next? It's Machamp, 4, and would you look at that? I screwed up. Well, return crits and one-shots anyway. Okay, well, I messed up. I can use now a Super Potion and an Ether, but here is where things could go awry. Now, in theory, a Bitter Berry actually would be really good, so I might need to go and get a second one by resetting the clock. But here is the strat versus Karen. We're going to go for Swagger, and then, all right, Sand Attack's actually fine, because now Psych Up not only copies the attack boost, but also copies the neutral accuracy. Unfortunately, Umbreon does confuse me, which is exactly what I don't want to see, but I'm able to get through with 16 HP. That actually might be enough if we don't hit ourselves in confusion, which we do. So sadly, I'm going to go back to Violet City and get a couple Bitter Berries and try this again. Based on what you just saw, it will not surprise you to learn I make it right back to Karen, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go Swagger, we miss, which is annoying. Sand Attack hits, but that's okay. Then Umbreon hurts itself in confusion. Unfortunately, another Sand Attack means another Psych Up, which is fine. If it keeps going for Sand Attack, I can keep going for Psych Up. I keep copying the attack boost, and I keep copying the neutral accuracy. I'm going to Swagger it again to get +4 in attack, Psych Up, and I am going to sweep through the rest of this team. So, that was a pretty great way to make it to Lance. Unfortunately, as great as this strategy is, it will not work versus Lance because Lance's Pokemon all have Hyper Beam. I do not want to be giving them a whole bunch of attack. So we're going to have to do something else. Honestly, the only strategy I see is just to use Psychic a bunch, but... So here's to hoping that works. Alright, so do we one-shot Gyarados? No. But Rain Dance isn't a problem. I can then knock it out with Return. Save a power point. Then I can go for Psychic. It doesn't one-shot, and Thunder Wave misses. Okay. And then we can go for Psychic on the next Dragonite. Thunder Wave hits. Paralysis Cure Berry. Okay. I think we got this. Aerodactyl. It's a one-shot. Very good. Charizard. It's a one-shot. Very good. Wait a minute. Why didn't I delete Return? I can get more of those. I should have done this. I screwed up. I don't want to delete Swagger. I need Swagger, or I might need Swagger. No. Okay. I'm going to do that again. And you may or may not have noticed I used rare candies before I battled Lance. That's how I got Morning Sun. But I actually was about 400 experience points off from leveling up again. That's a huge waste. So if I battle anything, in this case Onix, we'll get an extra level for no cost. Well, minimal time cost. It won't surprise you to learn that having the exact same moves, I beat Lance again. Although, sadly, I did get really bad luck my next attempt. Just some bad Thunder Wave and Paralysis luck caused me to lose. Really, I shouldn't have lost. I had so many ways around it. That's what Morning Sun was for. But yeah, deleting Return was the right play. Sadly, if I want to teach Return back, I do have to pick a move that I can't get back. So I may need to go into Kanto with just Psychic. The advantage of that is I will get complete flexibility versus Red, and Psychic is my best move. The disadvantage to that is I will have to heal repeatedly at Pokemon Centers, which will cost a little bit of time. Speaking of lost time, Sabrina is an example of a trainer I would love to have used not Psychic, but I had no other choice. And I had to be very careful with power points, since if I ran out of Psychic, the only way I had to damage an opponent was Swagger and them hitting themselves in confusion, which is very luck-based and slow. Against Blue, Espeon was actually really put to the test. It does one-shot Pidgeot, so things are looking great, but then against Alakazam, it hits me with Psychic. I have leftovers equipped. Still, everything's looking great, right? Well, right on, we're going to one-shot. No problems here. Gyarados then goes for Rain Dance, but still, everything's good, right? Well, then we get double full restore, and I start to run low on Psychics. And then I forgot Executor was a thing, and thankfully, I deal enough damage that it's a two-shot, but Arcanine is not a one-shot, meaning not only did it just burn me, but I have to rely on Swagger. It doesn't hit itself in confusion, and I tried a Morning Sun, but I lost. Yes, some bad luck, but also, Psychic doesn't have enough power points. There is another PP up I could get, but it's really out of the way. But remember, I got Psychic via level up. There's still a TM that I went and acquired. So I can teach over Return, which I can get infinitely, and watch what I can do here. I can go Swagger. It hit itself in confusion, which is actually pretty lucky, but I have Morning Sun to heal myself. Actually then went for Mirror Move. I'm +2. Out comes Alakazam, and we can make that +4. Sadly, I have to go for 2 Swaggers, and I kind of have to be careful here, because, yeah, if it hits something confusion too many times, it'll actually faint itself, which is what happened. I'd like to be +6, because Rhydon is pretty strong, but hey, at +4, Espeon does enough to two-shot it, which is good enough for me. And would you believe I'm about to sweep through Blue's team with a normal move and Espeon? And you want to know the best part of all this? I think this is going to work versus the champion. Espeon is fast enough, and if I get enough attack boosts, I think I'll beat Red, maybe on my first attempt. Would that be quick enough to make Espeon the king of the Gen 2 Eeveelutions? Let's find out. Battle number 1. Pikachu, not very good at physical attack. I go for a turn to see how much it'll do. Charm misses. That's not a problem. You know, I'm going to knock out Pikachu because I think, yes, Espeon comes out next. I didn't mean to go for Psych Up, but that's okay. It goes for Reflect. I go for 1 Swagger. Second one misses. I go for 2 Swaggers. And then I go for 3. It's actually hit itself in Confusion every time. Reflect has failed. Swift does a boatload of damage. But now out comes Snorlax. And do I do enough to one-shot? Oh, no. Okay, well, that might be a problem because I don't raise my defense at all. I might have to switch to Curse, which would be bad. Let's try a couple more times. Okay, so we're gonna go Swagger against Pikachu, maybe, is a smart idea. Maybe we can do it against Pikachu. Yeah, actually, that could work, because Pikachu likes to go for Thunder. All right, well, it can paralyze me. And, yeah, no, we can't be paralyzed. That just won't work. I do need to use the rare candies. This is important. And is there anything else I can do? I think this is the moveset. Is there anything else? Maybe I should try one more time. I don't really think... No, I think this is the optimal moveset. Like, I can't imagine what else I'd use. All right, third time. Only my third battle. Okay, we're going to go Swagger. It's confused. Charm is fine. Don't even care. Then it hurts itself in Confusion. All right, I got to go Psych Up here. Oh, yeah, it heals. That's fine. You know what? That's fine. I'll go for the third Swagger now, and then I can just Psych Up again. There's no harm in that. Oh, well, actually, it faints itself. All right, I'm +4. So returning against Espeon knocks it out, and now I just need to tank this attack, and I think we're fine. Oh, when Amnesia. Okay, I think we just won. I forgot it will do that. Is this enough to one-shot a Charizard? No, but Flamethrower doesn't do a lot. It's not going to one-shot Blastoise, but I don't think Surf's going to knock me out. Wow, that did a lot. Oh, it's Rain Dance. Not only is that not an attack, but now Venusaur's Solar Beam does nothing. Maybe it's going to go Giga Drain. No, it goes Sunny Day. Well, that did work really well. So Espeon beat Red on its third try, and it was pretty great. But sadly, it falls way short. Not just of Vaporeon, but Flareon? Flareon? In what universe is Flareon better than Espeon? Well, if you'd asked me when this started, I would never have guessed this be the order. I mean, Umbreon being the worst makes sense, but all the Eeveelutions were really good. Ultimately, what I think helped Flareon was that in Generation 2, there are more moves that boost attack, like Curse, than special attack. And there are more moves the Eeveelutions get, like Iron Tail, Shadow Ball, and Return, that take advantage of high attack, than moves that take advantage of high special attack. Vaporeon was obviously the exception to this because it got Surf really early, and it got Aurora Beam. That's amazing coverage. Without Aurora Beam, I think Flareon would have won hands down. Espeon's problem was that it had to heal. Psychic does have its limitations, and its attack being so low really did hurt it. Don't forget, during Falconer, we compared it to Jolteon, but it was way, way better than Jolteon. The big problem is that in this game specifically, Flareon has a weird advantage by getting the right TMs and right moves. I would tell you that in Gen 3, specifically Fire Red Leaf Green, I would be astonished if Espeon didn't win by a mile. I'll be honest, I'm planning a pseudo-legendaries, probably in Fire Red, for my next comparison. I don't know if I want to do Emerald yet. Emerald's a really long game. I kind of like how Fire Red works for comparisons, but you'll let me know if you'd rather see one or the other. Hey, maybe I'll do both, make a 6-parter. No. I'm not that nuts. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for sticking with me for all this time, and I'll see you all pretty soon. Bye.